Hopefully everything's working. Is everything working? It appears that things may be in fact working. I hope audio's working well. I'm kind of flying a little blind here. Hey guys, it's been a bit. Also, let me reset. There we are. Boop. Get the cafe set up, going back. Hi. Hold on. Hi. I hope everyone's doing well today. Let's. Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know, maybe you don't know, who knows? We're doing a stream today where we're going over Wizards of the Coast. Released a bunch of new stuff for the 2024 version of the Dragons. They have released the Ancient Green Dragon stat block, which I did look over and I have feelings, but they released this video a few days ago. I thought, you know what? Let's actually watch it. And I started watching it and I have feelings about this. I had words to say and I figured, you know what? It might be entertaining to some people to hear what I have to say on this, since I have been going through and reading and like revamping all the D&D or the Dragon stat blocks. And we're going to keep doing that. But yeah. But with that, let me figure out how I want to You know what if we did it this way? I think this might be the right way to do it. Okay. I'm gonna pull you up and then full screen you. Nope. Nope. Okay, is my... Let's add a window capture. Sorry, this is the... I don't normally do this kind of stuff, so it's you know, it's a new thing. YT. Okay. Yep. And okay, perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. And now we're just going to make that small over... we're going to pull that, make that small and over here so that you can kind of see what I'm watching. And yes, this is technically reaction content, but I have semi-professional complaints about it. So, you know, I think it's fair. I think I do get to have these talks and thoughts about it. That's okay. Bup. Oh, one other thing I should probably do: social media things real quick. And then we'll once I post that, then we'll go. We'll just get going. But yeah. How's everyone doing if anyone's watching? I hope you're doing well. It's been a while since I've live streamed. It's been a little bit too long, maybe. I am back to live streaming. Twitch today. Let's talk about 2044 slash 5.5 Dragon changes. Twitch.tv slash Nuches Flores. Post. You Twitter. Hellscape, that is indeed Twitter. But, you know, we posted there. And come on. What do you mean this page isn't working? Is Twitter down? No, okay. It's just doesn't want to work. Okay, that's posted. That's posted. And then we just got a few friends to send it to. And oh, hey, you are online. And I'll post it here as well. Boop. Okay, we're live. We're doing the thing, guys. It's for realsies now. Okay, and with that, yeah, let's just kind of like hop right into it. So this is a 30-minute video. We are going to watch it in its entirety. I will be stopping and talking over it multiple times. So if you have not watched this and you want to watch it without my input, go watch it somewhere else. Let's go. It would be dungeons and good because I want them. That's good because they really need an update. I will say the art that I've seen is very beautiful. I do like that. Mm-hmm. That is good. That is what dragons should be. We want that. Give me good dragons. Mm-hmm. Which they don't in 5e. They are actually very weak, ridiculously weak in weird ways. Mm-hmm. Evil versus metallics that are good. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I like that horn. I think that's a new version that they changed it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also tests. It's very common. Or a bad metallic dragon. Anything works. Or an evil campaign. Yo, that is. What is that? What is that dragon? Because that's not a black dragon. It's blue fire. Okay. Are they okay, so they did say other types of dragons. Oh, maybe it's a shadow dragon? Maybe that's what that is. Mm-hmm. This is a very important question. This is a very important question. It's the same thing I ask every time I go to build a variant. This is not the right fix. Okay. I've talked about it and responded to some people's comments of like, oh, let's just add spellcasting into Dragon's raw stat blocks. And this this works on some level, but it is the most basic and lazy fix. I have issues with it. There's also like you want to fight a dragon, not a spellcaster. So like balancing how they can spellcast is honestly very important in my opinion. Um if you're going to fight a dragon who is a prodigious spellcaster, absolutely. And there definitely are those out there, but that's an add-on that you throw onto them. It doesn't feel like something that's like, oh, dragons inherently need spellcasting. I don't believe that. I've seen some people say that, and that's not I vehemently disagree. There's nothing wrong with them being spellcasting, but that's not a that is a wait, what? Sorry. Hold up. That art was adorable. Oh my gosh, that's adorable. They're just all the dragons and their little babies. Oh. And there's a unicorn. Oh my gosh, there's so much about this. I want this art. Somebody give me this art. I'll say a lot of things about Wizards of the Coast in the new books, but I will never say that the art is bad. The art is always consistently very good, and that's good. Except for the time that they used AI. Okay, sorry. What was he saying? Yeah. Like I said, I don't mind dragons having spellcasting as an idea. It's fine, but yeah, it was also an option that was very much not attached to the stat block. It was like, oh yeah, you could do this if you wanted to, and that's not like I have issues with that. It's like it's so far removed that in D&D Beyond it wasn't even like a spellcaster variant. It was just like something that you could add. And for D&D Beyond, I think that's a very big thing of like, oh hey, I'm scrolling through these stat blocks. What can they do per raw? And like especially when we paid for the books and I have issues with Wizards of the Coast right now, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is what 5e does. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is something that this is about where I stopped a little bit after this. And I have issues with this on like a philosophical level of like that's theoretically that's great and maybe like I have to read through all of the books to like truly grasp it, but I'm so petty right now that it's like, okay, well, if they're all three the same book, then why aren't they like the same book? Why am I paying 3 times for these books? And I'm just frustrated by it. It's okay. I'm just salty about it. Okay. Okay. We're gonna listen to that again, and I want you to just think about maybe why I'm upset about this. It's a very dumb thing, but the name of the spell is Melf's Acid Arrow. Now, this is I want to be very clear. This is a dumb reason. This is a dumb thing that I'm getting upset about for no reason. But there is a storytelling, like in a stat block this is something I need to make a video about, because in a stat block, you can 100% tell a full, complete story about who someone is and what they can do. And with dragons, there's a little bit of that in the story. It's in the stat blocks, and like I look them over a lot. I try and figure out things. Hey, Squid Livers, how you doing? I try and look over things and try and figure out, okay, what maybe was intended by this, what maybe was the intention, or what are they trying to say with this. And with the original 5e stat blocks, it's not that much, but I do try. However, with this, it's like, oh yeah, let's give them the acid spell, and which is Melf's Acid Arrow. Melf's Acid Arrow is a fantastic spell it's a second level spell. The problem is it's not a spell that this should have been a spell that's a dragons made or dragons came up with, and instead it's Melf's Acid Arrow, and Melf is someone who is still kicking around in the D&D verse, meaning that if he created this spell, which is why it would be called that, why do dragons only now get it? And it's there's like a little storytelling issue that I have with this. I wanted to stress, I know this is me being frustrated about a certain thing and that there are reasons why this is, but I think on a storytelling level, this is an oversight. I would hope so. Yes, these are things that should be done. Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe Melf was secretly a dragon. Look, if I didn't know the lore that he was actually a person, like the reason that Melf's name is Melf is he was like, as I understand, he was one of Gygax's players, and they're like, oh, I'm a male elf, Melf. That's where Melf came from, and it's like funny, haha. Like I enjoy it, but it's also like, why? But to go to what this guy is saying. Oh, I don't have chat on here. Where's my chat source? I don't remember. I assume it's a browser source. Chat box. There we are. Okay, there we go. There we go. Dragons are shapeshifters. Yes, they can shapeshift. You're right. But going back to what he's saying right here, and the issue, they're kind of over hand waving a few things. Mm-hmm. This is not basically, this is all they amounted to. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like in lore, Black Dragon was, I need to disguise as Melf. I need to name Melf. It could be. But even dragons, like if you, this should have been like a spell like for the original dragon, like the original Black Dragon. I'm just being kind of a spicy. All right, what do you say? Good. That's which is what we want. This is very much what I want. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh. No. No. This this is kind of a nightmare. Fair. I don't have issues with it, but I'm just I hate being banished so much. I hate it so much. I am just joking. No, you're fine. I am not upset at all, Squid Livers. Don't even worry about it. Hey, Wanda Show, how you doing? Oh, hold up. Okay, so a little bit back is the last thing I actually like watched any of this. This is all brand new for me from here on out. Good, good. Okay. 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 That is a mechanical thing. It does. Yes, that is a very important distinction. Mm-hmm. Does that mean goblins just got debuffed? They secretly got debuffed? Mm-hmm. Looks like they maybe get like a breath attack too? Which, hmm. Right, right. I would hope so. That's why we're getting a new book. I'm sorry, I'm so spicy about this. I can't hear the video, so I kind of get the gist. Oh, you need to turn it up? Yeah, no worries. Please let me. Oh, there's just no video audio. Yeah, thank you.
A collection
there
of
we go.
templated
Okay.
traits collected into a stat block.
Thank you. Sorry, it's been a while since I've streamed. I'm still getting used to to a few things.
We decided to do this time for the half dragon is really develop it as a complete monster. In 2014, we gave you a stat block, but it was really a collection of templated traits collected into a stat block. This time around, the half dragon is a monster in its own right. Same thing with the shadow dragon, where we have fleshed it out.
The new YouTube channel.
A full type of dragon with its own new type of breath weapon.
I was right. That is the shadow dragon. Okay.
Two types of shadow dragons. We have a juvenile shadow dragon and an older one. Because frankly, we just think having this Shadowfell dragon is so cool. We wanted more of it, and we wanted you to be able to experience it at more levels. And so that's why we now
so
have
it is its own thing now, which is good. I do like that. Also, I did like the variation, but it's
multiple cases of art for each of these dragons, which is exciting. I love the different ways we represent the green dragon.
Yo,
the black dragon's fantastic.
That's terrifying.
But specifically, the context of things is great for me as a dungeon master, because when I'm reading about this is how they act as a youngling, this is how they act as an
Shadow Dragon hype,
this is how they act as
100%.
Like this is where they kind of are at in their lives and how they interact with their environments, and each dragon is different.
Absolutely, and it's going to be something that you're going to hear us mention again and again while we're talking about these monsters, is that the art is
The
just
art
as
is
much
great.
about the narrative and the story and the play experience of these creatures as any other part of the book. When you look at the different pieces of art throughout the 2025 Monster Manual, you're going to see this is how it lives, this is the layers it's in, this is how it behaves, helping to give DMs
Okay.
suggestions for here's how I can use
Art
this
is
critter.
important. I think it's
Perfect
very good to
example is
have
one
stuff
that you
like
just
this.
mentioned there with the green dragon. Green dragons are
I
known for being
hope they
sinister
implement
and
it better on
sneaky
D&D
and
Beyond.
ambushers and like camouflaging themselves. So when you see the adult green dragon, instead of having this in your face coming at you like slicing through adventurers, the depiction of the green dragon is it snaking its way through this swampy pool where there's adventurers who are completely unaware of it, boating above it, not
Very Wither
cognizant
Dragon.
that they're
Very
about to
Wither
get
Dragon.
ambushed by this green dragon. You see this at all age categories as well, because continuing the example with the green dragon, there's a green dragon wyrmling there. You get the sense there that it's this sneaky, sinuous, sinister little menace.
Ooh,
And
that
I'm
art.
saying little, but like so often we think of
D&D
wyrmlings
Beyond
as
art
being
sucks.
like, oh, maybe
Yeah, they
just
don't
these little guys.
like the
No,
issue. What
wyrmlings
they're
are
talking about
the
is very
same
cool,
size
and
as you
in
and I
book, this is
are.
totally fine.
Exactly. And then
The
that's
problem
what we're
is
looking
that I do
Yes.
reference
And then
D&D
even with
Beyond a
the
lot more than I do
ancient
the book. It's
dragons,
much
for
easier to
each
access.
one of
And
the metallic dragons and the chromatic
this
dragons,
is
you get
not going to
this
be implemented in the same
gorgeous
way that they
full-page
are
image
going to
that
implement it
shows some of the most
in the book.
powerful monsters in Dungeons
So
and
it's
Dragons in their full splendor or dread, doing the
like
things that
it'll
make
be
them
there if
so
you scroll
iconic, whether
through,
it's
but
a
it's
red
not going to have
dragon
the same effect.
terrifying
And
like a small
I kind
legion
of
of
have an
knights,
issue with them
or
being
a
like,
gold dragon
oh yeah, this is
being
designed to help, which
awesome,
is
or like in the
fine.
example of the green
I
dragon,
do like this idea on
deep in the
concept, but
woodlands, like sinister magical mastermind who you can
I don't
see
know.
as like
I
manipulating forces off in the distance.
I might be getting this wrong, but it's either the green or the blue dragon. But like, one of the dragons as an example of a wyrmling is actually, it may actually be not subservient, but like working with other villains to learn from them.
Yes.
As a wyrmling, that kind of context
blue
was really
dragons.
fun to
Oh,
read.
I'm
We
so
wanna make sure
hyped
that
to
each
touch on
one of the
them.
different types of
That they'll
dragons
be.
feels like
They're not coming for a little bit,
there's
but I'm
specific
excited to work on
adventures
them.
associated with each one of them. It's not just this is a green dragon and this is what a green dragon does. A green dragon wyrmling, a young green dragon, an adult green dragon, an ancient green dragon, they all have their own agendas. They all have their own plots, which at the lowest CRs and with the youngest of them, might be more territorial or it part of a small area.
Okay.
But as they get stronger, as they advance, it's more regional, it's more global, and then potentially even more multiversal.
I used to run
That's
a lot of
something that
games
does
through
come
D&D
up with
Beyond,
ancient- like
but the
several
art
of the
was a
ancient
big reason I
dragons,
switched to
some of
paper.
them have a
I
multiversal approach.
Yes.
honestly,
So
that's
some of
fair.
them, like, the white
I
dragon just
when I'm
wants its
running
territory, and that's kind of it. The red dragon thinks it's the best dragon and best
When I'm-
monster in the entire universe.
when I'm running D&D, I prefer to have I prefer in-person sessions. But D&D Beyond is just so helpful to organize and pull up things quickly. So I just default to that instead of like, okay, where is the stat block? I can just hit search. If you're able to
Regional,
organize
it's more
everything though,
global, and
I
then
highly
potentially
recommend
even more
paper. Yeah.
multiversal.
That's something
No-
that does
no
come up
shade
with
to anyone who
ancient-
doesn't
several of
run
the
it
ancient dragons is some of them have
anyway.
a multiversal approach.
Yes.
So some of them, like the white dragon, just wants its territory, and that's kind of it. The red dragon thinks it's the best dragon and best monster in the entire universe, and that's its agenda. Blue dragon also has like interplanar plans at some point, but that goes for the metallic dragons as well, and that's why I really love about this is you're kind of giving us a character
Yes.
at every
Yes.
stage of their life and what they and again, like you mentioned, the wyrmlings are not just wyrmlings because so often I'm dating myself, but Dragon Slayer, I think of wyrmlings and they're these puppets that meet a very grisly end and don't have any
They're
personality.
little
But these
babies.
are like very intelligent
Aw.
creatures that already are working in this environment that you can interact with.
And yeah, it was important to us not only in the game mechanics, but also in the art to drive home that wormlings are dangerous. I think sometimes
They
in the
should
past
be,
when we've
yes.
depicted
They're
wormlings,
there's
they've
some
been
Blue Dragon
sometimes kind of
gang.
cute. And we actually made sure, especially with the chromatics this time, most of them are not cute. Because these are things that low-level adventurers are going to face off against. And again, these are not like cute little creatures. This is a person-sized.
I think that's cute. I still think that's cute. You can shut up.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I will say, I will throw a point to them that they do have an issue with, I don't know how, like, I can't tell you, but in the original 5e stat blocks, their breath attacks can do a lot of damage and it can just instant KO you, which is frustrating. And I don't like that. So I don't know that they need to get tuned. Their art, maybe, but I mean, look at that. That's adorable. I want one. Give me one.
That can exhale fire on you.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This crocodile has wings.
Dragons should be terrifying.
Exactly. As you were talking, one of the things that was really kind of warming my heart is that at what you were describing, Wes, about the personality of like a green dragon, and Todd, also you mentioning the insidious nature of what they do. That's in the game mechanics, and much more so.
Which is where this needs to be.
Because now
proceeds to make wormlings even cuter. They did. They absolutely did.
That's in the game mechanics, and much more so than a decade ago. Because now, especially adult and ancient green dragons, they have the Mind Spike spell. And they also are able to, when they get to higher level, cast Modify Memory and Gesh to actually cause you to have to do something for a long period of time. And this means that, for those of us who love like Cyan from the Dragonlance Chronicles.
Exactly.
I'm not good at spelling. It's fine. Don't worry. I have a lot of misspells all the time. We are gonna so just as a heads up, I am double streaming on Twitch and YouTube. In about 30 seconds, we're going to have an ad break on Twitch, and we're going to just take a 2-minute break here.
Historically, like red dragons, like I mentioned.
That being said, just because they're kind of hitting a point, green dragons, I will say, do kind of get a pass. I think they are the most inherent spellcasters just by who they are. And like Modify Memory is a good one. It very much like works for the vibe of the green dragon. There's just like a few things about the green dragon that I don't really get. Like they have a weird vibe of like, oh, we're this machination, but also we live in the forest. I'm just like, why? It's weird. It's so weird. Yeah. Is it running the ad or not? Okay. Well, I guess we just keep talking for a second then. But yeah, no, like the green dragon's got a weird vibe, and I'm glad I'm doing that one last because I have weird thoughts about it that I'm gonna be like, this one might be the most drastic change. Okay, well, let's just hit play.
Again, like we talk about personality, and not everyone knows all the personalities, and we don't need to go really.
I don't think anyone's actually
into
watching on Twitch anyway, so it's
historically fine. Like red dragons, like I mentioned before, they really think they're the best of dragon kind.
Yes.
They extremely
the dragoniest dragons that ever dragoned.
They are very quick to anger. Smaug being a very classic example of like the personality of a red dragon.
I need to go watch all versions of The Hobbit for no reason in particular. Green dragons do a lot of internships. I don't have a lot of them for that reason. That's very fair. That's very fair. Internships can be a very hot button issues for D&D. Some people really don't like to touch it. I have touched it a fair amount on both sides of the DM screen. But I think that's a thing that, like, for me, I don't really have. I think there's a lot of things that can be done with that as an idea, but I also totally understand why like somebody wouldn't want to touch it. And as I've grown as a D&D player and DMD or DM, I have tried to be a little bit more aware of that.
What they can't control.
I would argue, like, they're always the threat.
The art
always
is
dangerous.
cool though.
Yes, these
Yeah,
are
dragons.
the real like megalomaniacs. It's like they want
Mhm.
to control, and what they can't control, they destroy.
How would you define the personality of a blue dragon?
Oh, I mean, blue dragons are my favorite. So I mean,
Hey, Blue
they're-
Dragon
they're
Gang!
the lawful evil ones. They're the ones where they want to control everything, but they will do it by manipulating others, by taking over regions, by like
Also,
forming
lightning's
armies.
just
I mean, they're
cool.
sort of the ultimate lawful evil villains, where it's just
Mhm.
like I want to.
I mean, maybe they're
control
not
and
villains.
dominate
Maybe
everything.
Blue
And if I
Dragons are
can't
the
do
good
it through
guys.
My organizations and spreading my power. then
Oh, I'll
I'll
probably
just
get into it
find
when I touch
incredible,
Blue
like,
Dragons. But
power
I
and
have a
magical might.
lot
like,
of
multi-
history with them and
versal,
a lot of
uh,
stuff that I touch.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And you can, a lot of those personality traits are echoed in the sort of environmental associations that the dragons have and their abilities. So the blue
Mhm.
dragons with their far spanning plots, well, that connects to the fact that blue dragons are associated with being the highest up in the sky
Mm-hmm.
and the ones who
Okay.
call lightning down from the sky. They are the ones
Cool,
way
cool.
above watching. Whereas red dragons are associated often with environmental destruction, like
Mhm.
volcanoes and eruptions of lava.
They're that force of nature.
Yes.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And we
Different
also,
forces of
another
nature, yeah.
example of us connecting personality of the different dragon types to the mechanics is what we've done in the different dragons with their frightful presence
Mhm.
ability.
Okay.
In 2014, the dragons consistently had this frightful presence ability, but this time we wanted to explore more tailored versions of that or entirely different effects in the dragons. So, there are still some dragons that do strike fear into people, but thinking of the red dragon is the most tyrannical of the
Mhm.
chromatic dragons. And so rather than having the red dragon strike fear into people, we instead have the red dragon with a commanding presence where the red dragon can actually growl out a command, a magical command, and get people to do things.
Okay,
And
okay.
that will also help make encounters with these different types of dragons very different from each other. Because
That's-
again,
okay, so
one
this
dragon
is-
might be
This is a very interesting idea. I really do like it. It is taking something that I haven't really touched too much. I did touch it a little bit with the Frost Sphere, but I didn't look at it this way. And I do really like what they're going on about. It's taking something that they all have, kind of like what I'm doing with the Breath of Weapon, but they're doing with Frightful Presence too, and changing just the base effect, which is great because frightened across the board, not great. But having different effects, that's very cool. I do like this idea. Very awesome. I immediately went to go look to see what the Green Dragons one was, and I'm not seeing anything on here. Oh, Charming Presence. Okay. Right, because they don't have legendary actions, they have like extra reactions now. Another creature the dragon can see cast Charm Monster. Yeah, we'll see how it works. I had a blue dragon that explained how order was needed for society to truly exist, and that society needed them to rule as they were the only one to do it. The dragon then explained that they were originally a red dragon, but they shaped their fire into lightning and used their magic as they view as lightning as an orderly form of fire. That's very cool. I do like that. The last big D&D game that I ran was very Blue Dragon centric. It was West March's game. I had a lot of fun with it. but the ending was basically a Blue Dragon Conclave, and I fell so in love with it that I took the base form of that idea of like what it ended up becoming at the end of the game, moved it into my homebrew world. But I got really into Blue Dragons there, and like I've always loved blue, just the color. It's my favorite color, and lightning is so cool. And yeah, no, I like the idea of like blue dragons ruling over people is just awesome. I think it's really cool, and it doesn't have to be a bad set. It can actually be very good, on like both ends. Like, hey, you serve me. Like, they don't have to be like cruel masters. They could be fair, and like that is order. Like, honestly, is like being fair. So what your idea is very cool. I do like that.
Growling commands at people. Another one is terrifying people. Another one is banishing people. They all have some way to control the battlefield that goes beyond just dealing damage. And again, it was a lot of fun for us to go beyond
Blue Dragons are great. Blue
just
Dragon Gang.
striking fear into people.
Yeah, everything feels way tailor-made, way more tailor-made now.
Which is what it should be. Yes.
That'd be great to see players who are.
I honestly might
to
take
go-
this
go
idea
over
and
to the Dragons,
adjust
be a little bit surprised,
going
that was my
forward,
favorite thing. They're like,
to
"Oh, I don't
adjust
remember doing
the
that."
Frightened
Like, well,
presence, because I do
welcome
really
to
like that.
2024, 2025.
Yeah, well, because there will one
That's a
example
very-
of that,
very
and
good
I
idea.
touched on this
I
earlier
might steal that
about
going forward.
spellcasting in many of the adult and ancient dragons. That's going to create situations where you might have people who are used to fighting the dragons before, and they know, okay, watch out for the breath weapon. Okay,
Yeah.
the dragon used its breath weapon. It's
Now
not
we can attack.
charging, and it just has melee attacks. If we just stand
Yeah.
hundreds of feet away and shoot at it, we're fine.
Mhm.
Oh no, that dragon just snapped its fingers and there was an explosion all around us. So
Yep.
that's
Mhm.
we also had that in mind. Is we
There
want
is
the
also that was
dragons
also a
to
very
be
big issue. Like, I
especially
do
the
have
adult and
issues with
ancient
just
ones,
how like
more tactical
you're kind of
versatility.
supposed to run
And so
dragons
it is
too.
going to be
Sleight of hand check.
Also more
Yeah.
difficult now to outfox a dragon because the dragons in their stat blocks have more tools now for dealing with different tactical situations. They're now going to be able to fight you if you're way over there or if you're up close. And so again, watch out. Be prepared and beware of fighting
Be
them in their layers.
prepared.
Because
Yes.
the other thing that's new for all of these metallic and chromatic dragons,
I
is
assume they get new
to
layer
use
actions?
legendary resistance more often if they're in their layer, and they get to use their legendary actions more often if they're in their.
Okay. Legendary resistance. I have complex feelings about this. I know a lot of DMs and a lot of players have complex feelings about this. I think that 3 is a good amount. I don't really want to go much higher than that. Green Jack's Lair, legendary resistance. Okay. Oh gosh, that's so many. It's 4 a day naturally, or 1 more 5 a day if they're in their lair. Okay, hottest take. Legendary resistance is kind of bad, kind of not great. I do understand why it's there. It does kind of there. I think is kind of important to be there. So they don't just get clowned on immediately, but it does feel bad of like, okay, let me open up with my big spell. Hopefully it works. Oh, they passed. Guess what? On a pass, it doesn't do anything. So that's complex. I will say one of the things that I always do with it is that nobody is immune to critical failure. If you roll a 1 on a saving throw, if an enemy with a legendary resistance rolls a 1 on a saving throw, they cannot choose to use legendary resistances. I was originally going to build that into the dragon stat blocks, but it felt like a bit of a change that I didn't really want to implement as like a hard rule. I feel like that should be kind of like a DM dependent rule. But yeah.
And so that too is going to make lair encounters with many
It's
of these dragons
it's
even more
a
terrifying than they were before.
And more of a reason to get them out of their lair.
Yes, yes. Yes. Try to trick the dragon to find you somewhere other than its lair.
I don't know.
That sounds like a good idea in
I feel
theory.
like
Good
all the
luck
dragons
doing it.
Are leaning more into
Also,
their
good luck
personality, like the Black
trapping
Dragon's a
them
good example.
anywhere. It's a
Again, you
fucking
mentioned,
dragon.
Like they are more about death and decay,
Yeah.
destroying like
Who was it?
into their personality. Like the Black Dragon is a good example. Again, you mentioned like they are more about death and decay,
Yeah.
destroying.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah. What?
stonework
What?
around
Oh,
them
did
or
I nail that with the
ancient
Wither Dragon?
buildings, you know, melting them down with their acid over time. But then undead are more and more attracted to their
Yeah.
presence as well, and they kind of gain a following.
Absolutely.
Very, very creepy creatures, and that's all
Mm.
on theme for the Black Dragon.
Well,
As much as I hate treating BG3 like D&D, I think that having a legendary resistance add 10 plus. Honestly, actually, that's not a bad idea. I think that's totally fair.
Sure that the 2025 versions of these dragons.
Hold up. Motherfucker. He called it 2025. It is 2024. But also, why is it called 2024 if the last book is coming out in 2025? I hate that they're calling it 2024. I hate that they're calling it this. Please just call it 5.5. I hate it so much. Oh, I could go on a rant about that for a while. I don't want to, though. Oh, did I accidentally mute it too? Okay.
Making sure that
Oh, sorry. That one set me off.
Of these dragons really are distinctive, but also get these moods across. So even when you look at the Black Dragon, it's cadaverous. It's got these spines to it.
Does
the
look very
entire
cool.
thing has this unsettling sort of necromantic.
Notice Flores is
vibe
confirmed
to it.
genius.
And as soon as you
Well,
put it into its natural
I'm just a guy who
environment,
gets a little
swamps,
uppity.
the idea that it would be followed by like the dead crawling out of these ruins that it lurks in, it seems perfectly natural.
Makes
and you
sense.
see that for everyone.
Having them
Chromatics
have
and
undead
Metallics,
followers is
we
totally
really
fair.
put a lot of effort into making sure that each one of these different types of dragons, at a glance, it looks distinctive, but then also feels natural in the environments that they are commonly found in, but then also that they look like they would be doing the things that they're most commonly known for.
I really
Okay.
like the comments about the gold dragon in the description of like they are almost undercover, but looking for evil, even though they're somewhat solitary and like often live in like dead civilizations sometimes or amongst structures like that. They are on the outlook. They may be polymorphed in humanoid form, you know, looking for adventure or at least to right some wrong.
Well, I think something that ends up being a challenge for a lot of DMs is I've got these 5 incredible, powerful dragons.
I think they're about to touch on a very important
But
thing.
they're all good alignment. What do I do with
Oh,
them?
not where I thought they were
So,
going with
like,
it.
For every one of these different dragons, for every one of these different metallic dragons, we want to give you examples and plot hooks and ideas for these are what these dragons might do. This is how they might be allies to you. This is how they might work in a larger society with some of the narrative notes. This
By the way, the true answer is put 5 of one of each of them in the campaign and then have them collect all of them as allies to fight Tiamat. That is the play. I did that. It was a lot of fun. I loved the last arc so much. It was a genuinely good game that I ran, and I'm sad that it's I have been able to really run a good game since then.
This is how you might come into conflict with some of them. Perfect example is the Gold Dragon, because even that one, while the ancient Gold Dragon is really depicted as this like incredible force, but like sort of like powerful but serene, and the young version is sort of more elusive looking.
Oh gosh,
or,
that is
more
gorgeous.
violent looking. You've got the picture of the adult
Any
one,
creature can be
where
anything.
it's
That is true.
clearly
Yes, any creature can be
guarding,
any
like,
alignment.
Some sort of like portal or gate or something. Just because you might want to go through that gate doesn't mean the
dragon
who has been
says you should be
guarding
able
this for
to.
centuries wants you to. So there's a lot of ways to help DMs build adventures using.
That's actually a good
comic
idea.
dragons as
That's a very good
And
idea
we've gone
to
into
put
the
a
personality of, I believe, all
dragon
the
in
gold
front of
dragons. I don't know if
something
we missed
that you're like,
Maybe
I
one
need to
like
go through that, and they're like, you're not allowed to go
We
through
mentioned
that.
They are just sort of the beastly ones.
Yes.
They are the
Yeah.
most primordial.
That does
of
work
the
with like
dragons.
more
That's one of the reasons.
the catch with that is that, and this is kind of like another thing, is that not every campaign or game needs to be a save the world plot. I stand by this. I have very strong feelings about this. There's nothing wrong with a save the world plot, but it shouldn't. I'm not the biggest fan of it always needing to be that. So if you have like a small thing that's like personal, and you're like, I need to go through that portal for personal reasons, and the dragon's like, no, you're not. That then makes sense and doesn't make the dragon an idiot. I feel like that's just kind of like a very important thing of like, a lot of people will be like, oh, well, let's make do this. And then it's like, but the dragon's being just a jackass.
That I love like the art for them as well though, because even them,
They look like a bowl.
they look like they look so bestial, like they are attacking like a predator does. And that's again, like Jeremy has said, is built into like all of their stats, their lore. The art supports that so well.
What can you tell me the personality of a copper dragon and what copper dragons tend to be about?
So the copper dragons are more
I
about
love that
building
neck.
community,
That's
and
so
these
the
are
twist. It just
one of the
adds like so
dragons
much
that,
character to it.
I'm so pleased with how they ended up looking in the final product, because you can see that they're more about supporting groups, building relationships, putting together networks. And something that you'll see with the ancient copper dragon is that you can see that they've invited a whole bunch of other
The
dragon
art is so
wyrmlings into
cute.
their
I love
lair,
this art, and I
they've
need
got
it as
this
a
great
screensaver.
collection of little guys,
The little
that they're watching out for.
babies.
And see, that's what I mean by hooks. Like you mentioned, like these hooks are so great for you to involve good aligned. It's so easy to kind of involve evil aligned dragons, or chromatic dragons, but like
Throw the enemy at,
for the
make
metallic
him an
dragons,
enemy.
These are
Yeah.
great hooks.
I think
for why they
Jeremy's
should be there.
often referred to the copper dragons as the fairy tale dragons.
Yes. Yeah, and we show that visually with them with all the little baby dragons around them, but we also work that into their stat blocks. So the adult and ancient copper dragons, one of their new legendary actions is their giggling magic, where they can mess with people on the battlefield by just causing them to stand there giggling.
That's right.
And also something else we've done in the stat blocks for all of the metallic dragons is we've given them more flexibility in using their 2 breath weapons. In the past, all of the metallics, and this goes all the way back to first edition D&D, they had 2 different ways they could use their breath weapon. There was usually a damaging version and a non-damaging version. What we've done for the first time is we've made it so that those 2 different breath weapon types are no longer on a shared recharge. And so what that means,
I thought they already
is
weren't.
that the metallic dragons can actually be exhaling things.
I thought they
more often
legitimately.
than
I thought they
chromatic
already
dragons
weren't.
can.
Hold up.
But
I'm
their
pulling up D&D Beyond.
damaging breath weapons are still as limited as they were before,
Right.
but they're going to get.
I'm
to
pulling up
use
D&D
some of
Beyond
their
right now.
Non-damaging options more often than they could before.
But they're just as
Just go
balanced
gold dragon.
between the 2 different dragon types.
And it was
Gold
quite
dragon.
a feat
Yeah.
to actually get.
Oh,
the
you know,
metallic
they're right.
dragons
Yeah. Okay.
balanced,
Dragon
because
uses one of the following breath
their
weapons and recharges on
combination
5 or
of
6.
abilities
Okay.
is actually much more complex.
Gotcha.
mechanically
Okay.
than the
That's fair,
chromatic
I
dragons,
suppose.
'cause the chromatic dragons just bring tremendous hurt, whereas the metallic dragons all have a much bigger mix of
It's less damage
and
and more.
non-damaging options.
Okay,
And so we
okay.
had to weave the needle very carefully to make sure that the metallic dragons would all still be a satisfying encounter, no matter which combo of damaging or
I do
non-damaging
kind of like
abilities
this
they decide to
idea of
use.
like
What are some of
more
the personality
flexibility
traits
on
of, say,
the
a bronze dragon? What
metallics,
are they
more damage focused on the
attracted to?
metallics.
So the bronze dragons are more about imagination, but also protection. They're often associated with coastal environments, and this is something that, again, you end up seeing right from the art, where we start illustrating they're protecting communities, they're like saving people, they're fending off monsters. There's a completely wahoo.
I love
piece
this
of
art, but it looks like it's trying to
that's
drown
fighting
the
like a
shark, and that's
megalodon.
hilarious to
That
me.
does remind me about the dragon turtle, because I believe not totally the other dragon, the previous dragon, not totally on board with piracy, Well, the dragon turtle specifically mentions
Does
they may be
not
totally
care.
down for some piracy. or
Yeah.
their friends in piracy.
100% totally down.
So I like the sense that there may be some dragon friction happening in the ocean.
Oh,
in terms of what
yes.
piracy is. Not
Dragon
every
turtles
dragon
do not
turtle is
care. They're just like,
actually
hey, are you
Oh,
paying?
Yeah, just
You giving
using
me
its
money?
breath
That's
over
all I
like
care
the
about.
entire
I don't care about
dragon.
where you got it.
That piece of
The
art
more you give me, the
is
more I like you.
what we've done for a number of the gargantuan monsters in the book, and that is showing that gargantuan, when it comes
I'm making the
to
Frostfear
a
dragon one of the
creature
main villains.
size,
Oh,
doesn't
really?
really have a
That's so
ceiling.
awesome. Thank you.
Because the other size categories
that
have a fixed
I love that. Thank you. That makes me so happy. I love that. Honestly, like the best compliment anyone can give me is that something I made it into their game, and thank you so much. I will say a little bit more lore is going to be coming out probably tomorrow. Just in the PDF document. I finished typing everything up like a day or two ago. There's just a little bit of balancing I want to do on an extra feature that's not core to the stat block. It's just an optional rule. It's called fear scarring for creatures that have been trapped in the Frostfear's ice for a while. But like the appearance and everything like that, all typed up. I just need to it might have been you, but I know somebody told me, hey, there were a few typos here, and so I'm just trying to make sure I go through everything and clean everything up. Because I will update things as I find issues, but I just want to make sure that I update them as few times as possible. But thank you so much. I love that you like my idea that much to put it in your game. But yeah, it'll be coming out soon. And yeah, I will be making a post about it on the Patreon, and I will try and make sure that the update goes out to anyone who downloaded it on Ko-Fi.
Yeah.
creatures of that size occupy. That is because the other size categories have a fixed space that creatures of that size occupy.
If you were transported into the world of D&D/WoW/Lord of the Rings/FF, Final Fantasy, and all fantasy games had to make the perfect character for yourself, what class would you choose? Race, class, multi-class, prestige, WEP, weapon, etc. Well, as my VTuber lore goes, as my lore, I am canonically a warlock. I'm an Archfey warlock. I'm technically human, but I have a little extra fey, and fey in me, and yeah, we like swords here. We like swords in this house. Back to the blade, buddy.
Because the other size categories have a fixed
Oh, okay. Somebody did.
size.
It was I did use the Wither Dragon as a base for my the Wither Dragon for the document, and then I like changed everything afterwards, and some of the Wither Dragon stuff did not get removed correctly, and so I had to go back and do that.
Doesn't really have
Somebody
a ceiling.
let me know, and I was
Because
very appreciative of that.
That gargantuan, when it comes to a creature size, doesn't really have a ceiling. Because the other
Shouldn't
size categories
run
have a fixed
kaijus, people.
space that creatures of that
Gargantuan
size
is
occupy.
just a
That
suggestion.
isn't true for
Run
gargantuan.
kaijus.
Gargantuan has a floor for how big.
Yes, I honestly love that this is canon.
For the creature,
Because
a
I've been
minimum
doing this for
space that it
years.
occupies.
Oh,
There's no maximum
yeah,
for
just
how
look,
many
especially if you're running on a
big
VTT,
gargantuan creature can
you
be.
can just keep
Get
making those guys
hopefully
bigger.
get a glimpse of that with that dragon turtle piece of art, because
Oh.
it is massive.
Oh yeah,
The way
no,
it
100%.
moves over
That
sheet.
thing is
And very quickly, we've got
huge.
what are the personality types and kind of traits of the brass dragon?
So the brass dragons are desert-dwelling dragons, and they often end up sharing stories, but then also investigating. You'll end up seeing them like plumbing these ancient ruins.
Ooh, those
looking for
wings though.
tales.
Those wings
and
are
again,
cool.
This is something that we see in
They
the
don't
art
make
with,
sense
like,
to me, but they're very
a
cool.
brass brass dragon that's
I like the
clearing
crown
out,
too.
like, a
Yeah.
ruin full of mummies, but then also you've got the ancient who is clearly protecting a whole group of adventurers from like a desert sandstorm.
And then we've got the silver dragon.
Okay.
Which is, again, one of those interplanar dragons. Once against the ancient, it may be involved in a lot of different shenanigans.
We like
at a
we
much
like the
higher
silver
level.
dragon in this
What about
house.
Silver dragon.
So silver dragons in a lot of ways are sort of like the knights in shining armor of dragon kind. Like they get a little bit more martial, but they're also the ones that are out there questing against evil. So they'll be out there seeking challenges even from a young age, and sometimes maybe getting in over their heads, and that's where they might need adventurers to help them out.
Yeah, you specifically mentioned that in the book. Too.
I have
Yeah,
made a
I love that.
mistake.
So then,
This
yeah,
this
they
was
get
calculated,
into
but man, am I
their
bad at math.
Adult and ancient ages, they start taking
Oh.
on more and more powerful threats that might even lead them beyond a world into the plains.
And what are their breath weapons again?
So the silver dragon has
It's
its
cold.
traditional cold breath as well
Yeah.
as its paralyzing breath.
Right,
then
right. It's
with
paralyzing
its
breath, which is a
legendary
nightmare.
actions,
Oh
one of
gosh.
them, it
Silver
can
Dragon
just
Squad.
Chill someone in place with the hold monster spell, and then it also has
Okay.
a cold gale where it can cause this just blast of wind with one of its other new legendary actions, and so that's going to be bringing essentially this combination of like a snowstorm, but then also going nope.
Yeah.
The
Gosh,
silver
they sound like a
dragon,
nightmare to fight.
Sort of like the
Oh.
red dragon has this commanding presence where again it can just like no, you're going to just stand there for.
You're
a
gonna
minute.
sit there for a
Like you
little
mentioned,
bit.
silver dragons getting over their head. There's like that sense of a little bit of arrogance.
Oh,
Of a
good
little
choices, man. Thank you for letting me
overconfidence
know.
in
I mean,
their
is a
lives.
level
You
9
can see
Paler
where they're
Cleric,
going
level
into adulthood.
10 Ranger,
Yeah,
level 1
and they're
Sorcerer,
gonna
Loud
Bring
Homebrew.
you along for
Level
their
10 Ranger,
adventures,
Blue
whether
Mage.
you want
Nice.
to come or not.
That's already I want a
Level
silver
5
dragon
Sage.
to like have like enlist you on an adventure and them to screw up, which seems like a distinct possibility.
But also you could find yourself on the opposite end of a quest from a silver dragon.
Yeah.
Because one of the things
Mhm.
that the story text throughout for the metallic dragons alludes to is that these dragons might be good and they might be working for good in the world, but their goals are not always going to align with yours, and you could end up in a fight
Right.
with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one
Yeah,
reason
that
why
is
we've
kind
worked
of
so hard
important.
to make
Yeah.
fighting them even more interesting than it has been in the past.
Thank you so much, Wes and Jeremy. I know everyone likes.
Did
to
we get
talk
through the
about
full
dragons,
thing?
But
Okay.
I will have to let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Hmm.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We will have a ton more videos all about the different monsters in the new Monster Manual.
That's
You can
cool,
purchase
buddy.
the brand new Monster Manual and all 3 of the core 2024 core rulebooks by clicking on the link in this video description.
All right, we don't need to
Okay,
advertise
Rick.
for them. Okay. We're gonna make that go away. Okay. So we have an ad break coming in for Twitch real quick in a little bit. So I'm just gonna keep talking until I get a notification that it started. We'll kind of come back to this in a little bit. I kind of want to sit for a moment, sit for a couple minutes, and then think about how what my thought is on this. Do we want to watch the buy our stuff? Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We might want to watch the 2024 Monster Manual video. That one's like an hour long though. Has anyone watched it? Does anyone know if it's good? I don't know. Maybe. Oh, we'll probably watch it. Well, I'm gonna load up some other stuff. I'm gonna think about it for a little bit, and then we're gonna take a little break, and then we'll be back in just a minute. Be right back. do want to check something real quick. Okay, so that, because the audio sounded a little awkward, so I just want to make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to be. Cool. Cool. Everything should be working the way it should supposed to be then. All right, minimize that. Okay. And we're back from the ad break. Awesome. Cool. We are good. Judging by the video quality of this video. I don't know. All right. Well, let's, I do have the whatchamacallit, this little guy here. Let's pull that up there, and then there's another. Okay, minimize. Do that. There's a way to do a thing here that I definitely know what I'm doing. Change background. Can I do a no background? Color picker. Squares. Isn't there a way just to import it? Is that a green screen effect? Add. Try to capture existing. Nope. Just no shows. Okay, so I think that's maybe it. Okay, so let's get rid of that. And then apologies. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying. Default select. Nope, that's not it. Color picker. Please note that VTube Studio supports streaming with transparent background on Windows. You'll never have to use a chroma key. Yeah, we like that idea. To activate this, activate the transparent in capture toggle. Then create a game capture in OBS. What the fuck? Okay. Add game capture. Studio. YouTube. No BG. Okay. Allow transparency. Specific. YouTube Studio. Okay. To use this, activate the transparent and capture toggle, then use this option in your model. Okay. Transparent and capture. Okay. Did we do this? Okay. Okay. Okay, so we get rid of that, and then we get rid of, we pull that, but there we go. Hey, we got it. We figured it out. All right. Hey, cool. All right, cool. Then we're going to get rid of that. Suddenly things make way more sense. Okay. I understand how people do certain things now. That's cool. Okay. All right. Let's, okay. So, things make way more sense of how people do certain things. Okay. I get it now. All right. Get ready for the big, okay. Okay, get ready for the biggest and most monster-packed monster manual ever. The 2024 Monster Manual releases February 18th and contains over 500 monsters to challenge your players, full of iconic creatures, revamped favorites, and brand new baddies. This monstrous menagerie will keep your encounters stocked, no matter where your multiversal adventure takes you. let's take a tour of the 2024 Monster Manual and see how this massive tome of monsters is chock full of challenges for your table. More drink, please. Over 500 new and updated monsters, legendary monsters for higher level play, revamped NPC stat blocks, variation of iconic monsters. Monsters are easier to find. Advice on running monsters for DMs of all levels. Craft unforgettable encounters for using the monster-filled pages of the 20 blah 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 blah. Subscriber. Okay, I don't care. Starting February 4th. Oh, cool. I didn't realize everything was going to be released early on that. Good to know. I'm shooting for this date here. Look, all I'm saying is the blue dragon will not come out. I mean, the second dragon. I could work on anyone. Who knows? But that dragon will not come out before this date. That's all I'm saying. It won't. It's not going to happen. There's no way I can get both of them out before February 4th or February 11th. And no. Honestly, it'll probably be after that date anyways. Whether you're prepping encounters, seeking inspiration for your campaign, or crafting a world of your own, the 2024 Monster Manual is here to inspire you. The revised book features over 500 monsters, including more than 85 brand new creatures, and hundreds of pieces of gorgeously crafted artwork. From the terrifying Tarrasque to the brain-munching Mind Flayer, each monster has been carefully rebalanced to ensure that encounters are challenging and fun. In addition to balancing each monster for the 2024 rules, monsters now use an updated stat block designed with new language that focuses on making monsters easier to use. Cool. Clear up language. It is always funny when when you find language that they're like, that was just all kinds of wrong. Habitat and treasure. Most monster listings now provide new information about a creature's habitat and treasure to help you plan your encounters. For example, the section on centaurs provides a list of environments where centaurs could typically be found and the potential treasures that could be acquired from them. Gear. There's also a new gear section that appears on the stat block of creatures who possessed equipment suitable for use or retrieval. This allows dungeon DMs to... Okay, so you just get it. They'll be more clear about what loot you can retrieve and use on other people. Thanks to this new addition, if your fighter wants to upgrade to plate armor, you can pit them up against a monster with this item listed in the gear section, like the Hobgoblin Warlord. This ensures that they'll walk away with the gear they seek after a hard-fought victory. Okay, that was kind of already there, Okay, hold up. D&D Beyond. Hobgoblin Warlord. I'm just curious what the CR is for this. I'm sure that it might be a little different, but CR6, yeah, at that point, give them plate, I guess, yeah. That's fine. Plate armor is always the big deal as a DM to hand out, in my opinion. It's like, oh, you have plate armor now. 18 is a very high AC, and as you can see here, if you just use a shield, that's a 20 AC, and if you took the defense fighting style, that is a 21 AC, which is a lot. That can be a lot. But at CR6, 97 hit points, 30 feet movement. It's fine. Hobgoblins are kind of low, so it's whatever. But this is kind of something that you could do automatically anyways. There was always it tells you right here. It's like, yes, they're using plate armor. And it was always up to the DM of yes, you killed it. Now, is it still usable, or is the armor even still your size? Whether you want to enter your campaign with a bang, introduce a world-shattering threat, or pit your players against a villain that they'll never forget, the high-level threats introduced in the 2024 Monster Manual will give you that jaw-dropping final encounter. Sure it will. We'll see. Okay. You'll discover new titanic monsters capable of casting vast destruction, like the CR22 Elemental Cataclysm, alongside scheming villains that make the perfect BBG, like the 21 Arch Hag. Ooh, okay, I like this idea because hags are not great per raw of their stat blocks. They have fantastic lore. I have run a number of hags. They are not great by themselves. You'll even find stat blocks for high-level creatures perfect as allies and leaders of your campaign's factions. These high-level threats have also been made easier to run with streamlined attacks and revamped legendary actions, ensuring you can focus on the fun during your epic encounter. Revamped NPC stat blocks. The stat blocks of monsters with the humanoid creature type have been redesigned to represent any humanoid species. Okay, I'm curious what you mean by that. Now these stat blocks and mechanics align with a certain role or profession. So whether you're introducing your players to add a charismatic drow performer or questing Goliath Knight, you can always find inspiration for your NPCs. I mean, they kind of already were that. I have questions. Variations of iconic monsters. Have you ever wondered what the owl bears of the most ancient and magical wilderness look like? Well, look no further. The 2024 Monster Manual contains variations of iconic monsters, like the primeval owl bear, who have distinctive abilities from their original counterparts. These variations are perfect for creating varied encounters, forming unique groups of monsters, and challenging a higher level characters during combat. Just wait until your party sees a scourge of vampire Nightbringers commanded by a vampire Umbra Lord. What does that mean? Those are just names. They don't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. I can say just names too. They don't have to mean anything. Ah, yes. Just wait until wait until your players see abyssal mooberries fall commanded by Fairfax Abyssal Lord heading their way. Like, that doesn't mean anything. What the fuck? Okay. Monsters are easier to find. The 2024 Monster Manual introduces extensive lists to help you find the monsters you need to spark inspiration for your adventure. These lists, a new addition to the Monster Manual, previously found in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Now all your monster needs are in one book. They're supposed to be. You'll find the Monster Manual's menagerie organized by habitat, creature type, and challenge rating, making it easier than ever to prep encounters and keep your sessions running smoothly. Okay. It just sounds like they have a better table of contents. You'll also be able to search for that perfect monster much more quickly because the entire book has been reorganized so that monsters appear in alphabetical order, grouped alongside their stat block variations to make them easier to find. Okay. Yeah, okay. That doesn't mean anything. Advice, buyer stuff. Okay. Okay, so they have a running a monster section. Okay. I mean, this kind of doesn't show any information about, how do you say, anything? So okay, stop. I'm clearly not trying to click that. Please stop. Okay. This is their dragons. The maps of VTT. Don't care about that. If anyone runs that, how does that actually work? Oh my gosh, that's like a post from like forever ago. Why is that here? Why is that post here? Probably because they want people to use it. And it's like, hi, remember we have a VTT now. Please remember we have a VTT. Please remember that we have a VTT. All right. Ooh, that art. Look, okay, their art's good. The new art's good. We like the new art. Okay, yeah, they have spell casting, which is cool. I feel like this is just going to kind of go over everything. Oh, wait, no. We got extra stuff. Okay. Each dragon now has access to the Rend attack, which is its default melee attack. Okay. As a dragon increases in power size, its attack evolves to display each dragon's distinctive flavor. In some younger dragons, it only deals slashing or piercing damage. However, other wormlings and young dragons, as well as all adult and ancient dragons, infuse their rends with the elemental. Okay. Okay. Multi-attack, make multiple rend attacks, and can use some special abilities. Let's throw this over here real quick so we can look at it. Okay, so at the legendary version, rend, the dragon makes 3 rend attacks. It can replace one of these attacks with the use of spell casting at will spells only. I mean, okay. I guess this kind of just like for... I'm fine with this for the green dragon stat block because for me, they're the most innate spellcasters. For like if they do this for the red dragon, I'm kind of like, which I'm worried that they're probably gonna. I don't know. It's one of the things I'm like, I don't know. I won't know until I see. This I'm not the biggest fan of. I do like having different variations of attacks, and it's like, oh, you get 1 melee attack. Have fun. I'm like, okay. And it very much feels like, oh yeah, they do this much damage for the base amount, and that's going to stay the same. And then we also, at certain points, you get elemental damage. And that's not, that's taking away stuff. That's not giving stuff. Oh, hey, legitimately right here. For example, when an adult what? Hold up. Okay, but it can't though? This is the funniest thing to me is when they're like posting like, hey, you can do this stuff. And I'm like, no, you can't. Not by what you made. For example, when an adult green dragon uses multi-attack, it can replace a rend attack with the use of spellcasting against a level 5 Vine Spike. Similarly, an ancient gold dragon can replace a rend with it to cast Guiding Bolt or to use its weakening breath. This change. Okay. Can make 2 rend attacks against an immediate threat and then cast Shatter. Similarly, if an adult red dragon can't catch more than 1, it can cast Scorching Ray to ignite a foe at range. This does seem like a mechanical base fix. It feels like a fix. Okay, so I want to be very fair to this. It feels like a good fix, but it feels like a very boring fix. It feels very much like a thing of, okay, let's come up with a system that we can slot in different things for the dragon, and like this is just how it's going to work. And we're like, it feels very paint by numbers to build a new dragon instead of like trying to come up with something very interesting or like different. I don't hate the mechanics of it, but it does feel like it's just augmenting adding spellcasting to try and build it. And for dragons in Dungeons and Dragons, it feels like you should really go that extra mile. This is my opinion. I'm not a professional. I was not one of the writers in the room, so I don't really know what happened or what maybe they have better reasons for this. But for professionals that are getting paid a lot of money to do this, it feels like they could go more of an extra mile than they are. That's just my thought process. I'm going to make myself a little bigger. Boop. All right. Dragon's legendary actions are more legendary, except for they don't exist anymore. They're just reactions. These new legendary actions, which honestly, I am assuming that this is the correct stat block. If they are all just reactions, that is a huge debuff. I don't know that I necessarily like that idea. That's me. It is if that is the case, it is a huge debuff. Channel their elemental lessons and even cast spells. One is not their turn of initiative, which ensures they are formidable and unpredictable forces. For instance, ancient white dragons who are able to cast. Really? I didn't write. Hey, Wizards of the Coast, feel free to hire me. I will make you great stat blocks. I do listen to feedback. I am not a perfect person, but you're welcome to hire me. Cause I clearly got your fucking number here. Oh, what's that? We got the Frostfear Dragon. Oh man, what are we doing? What does it do? Well, it does things to reduce their speed and inflict fear. Now, I'm not saying Jeremy Crawford saw my video because there's no way that math adds up. But I just want to point out, I clearly am on the right track. Oh. Dragon's lairs are deadlier and easier to run. Scarier within their lairs. Regional effects have regional effects have mechanical implications that begin more mechanical effects in previous iterations, making traversing the land surrounding their lair easier for DMs to run and more immersive for players to experience. For example, drinking water found within one. This isn't new. This was already there. Likewise, finishing a long rest within the chilly fog surrounding. Okay, that's cool. But previously, like, I know this. I know, like, just because there was something like this. Whereas game rules, equipment, sources. I hate that I can't just go click on the source I want now. No, because the 2024 version's there. It's so great. I'm so happy about it. Actually, I probably could have, but that's the wrong one. I want to click here. Let me click here. It's fine. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Why would I be mad? Dragons. Where's D? Dragon. Dark Mantle. Dragons. Black Dragon. Dangerous Slayers. Queen of Evil Dragons. Ancient Foes. Okay, so it's not mechanical. Okay, so mechanically it's a little different. So instead of being poisoned, water sources within 1 mile of the lair are supernaturally fouled. Enemies of the dragon that drink such water regurgitate within minutes. Okay, that's, I guess. Okay, it is different. I retract my complaint, I suppose. Is this the right one? Okay. Finishing a long rest within a chilly fog. Surrounding a white dragon's lair can now be reduced. Okay. I mean, that's cool flavor. I don't hate it. Previously, the regions were more ephemeral, and while they could help the DM set the scene, players didn't necessarily feel the impact of the entering the dragon's domain. Now, the region surrounding a dragon's lair has become a perilous challenge to reverse, rife with the dragon's influence. I mean, yeah, I guess that's fair. I don't know. I like. I would like more than one thing for each dragon on like how this works. Especially in situations like this, because the black dragon, like, oh yes, drinking water within found within 1 mile of the black dragon's lair can now cause a poison condition. That's very cool. When was the last time that you made a note of drinking water in your D&D game? Like, when was that? When was the last time you did that? Because I haven't done it. I've been playing a campaign for like over a year. I don't think I ever like verbally like said anything of like, oh yeah, I got like let's refill our canteens here, or anything like that. That's it's like you don't really address that unless the DM's bringing it up, and then the DM's like, so there's like a little bit of water here. You gonna drink it? And everyone just kind of looks at each other and goes, no. Why do you want us to drink it, DM? No reason. And so it's that's kind of like like this one though. A long rest within chilly fog. I assume that the chilly fog encompasses everything. So it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So like, are you taking a long rest in the domain of the dragon? It's going to be cold, but it's also like an hour after. So it's like, what are you really going to do in that hour? Are you probably just going to like take an extra hour after you finish the long rest to just warm up? Probably. That's what I'm going to do. So it's a cool idea. It does add an extra flavor. It doesn't. It's probably going to be hand waved. We'll see. We'll see how it works. There's a lot of dragon stuff here. The art, I will say, the art's gorgeous, and I love all of it so far. It's so cool. It's so great. Yeah, no, these are great. But as for the actual changes that are coming for the dragon, I don't know. I'm not terribly excited by what the green dragon stat block that came out. But it is better, I will say. And undeniably, these new changes are better, or feel better, at least on a surface level. What will happen after that? I don't know. That's a great question. That's a question I honestly don't know, but we'll have to see. There's a lot to that. I am curious about like what we're gonna watch this video next, and we'll see what they think on that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Although I do think we're about to get an ad over on Twitch, so we'll take another 2-minute break for that. And once we get that ad going, we'll come back here. We'll just start watching through this video, and we'll see where we are after that. All right. Yep. I need to get a screen for this, but for now we'll just use this. back. Oh, and yeah, okay. Well, with that, let's do. Come on, buddy. Background. Cafe. Okay. And then, okay. That one.
We have the new core rule books, and this is the final of the new core rule books. It's the monster.
Probably should have been released with it, but you know, that's fine.
D&D as a kid, looking through the monsters, absorbing all this information. All
right, there we go.
So tell me what's new in the new monster manual.
Cafe setup.
Everything.
Everything is new
in some way.
Right.
Because when the two of us embarked
Bold
on
statement.
imagining this book of beasties, and I think it's true for the two of us that like monster books are our favorite D&D
Oh,
books.
absolutely. No question.
Yeah. And
They
so
are the
working
fun.
on any monster book
Monsters are fun to
is a
write.
special
The
delight,
flump.
but working on the monster
The
manual is like
beholder.
the delight of delights. And we not only wanted to improve every monster that was returning from the 2014 monster manual, but also add many new critters. And that combination of things has led to us creating a book that has over 500 stat blocks in it, making this the biggest monster manual D&D has ever had. And
I wonder how many.
we have looked at every creature type and looked for ways to expand the number of creatures in that type. We've looked at high challenge ratings and seen how can we make those creatures more dangerous, and we've looked at all the creatures before that to see are there ways that we can make them more fun, add new surprises, make how they function smoother.
Apparently
than they were
449.
before, and a whole lot more.
Was there something that stood out that
So it's a little bit bigger.
you were really proud of, or that was really exciting to like revisit and revamp?
Well, for me, one of the most exciting opportunities for the book is to really make this feel like a Dungeons and Dragons monster manual. And that's going to sound a little weird because there's been numerous Dungeons and Dragons monster manuals.
Yes.
This is a
I
book
was
that's
very
really
confused.
rooted in showing you how these monsters exist in the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons. So
Okay, so he's back on the art.
Put so
Got
much
it.
effort into the reorganization, the new rules, streamlining and revising some of the narrative text, but right down to the art. You're going to open up this book and you're going to see the worlds of D&D and the monsters of D&D in those settings doing what they do. I don't think that there's a single monster in this book that's just, here's a critter floating in white space. They're all
Okay, I see what he's saying.
doing the things that make them exciting. We don't want to show you just here in the abstract as a creature. I want to show you the monster, the
Hot take. This is gonna be a really hot take of why I don't like this. I like monsters to be PNG so that I can steal the art and use them for videos much easier and then needing to get rid of a background. This is the hottest take of why this is a bad idea. It is a good thing. It is a good thing. But I really like them to be PNG so that I can put them somewhere and use them much easier. Oh.
like rust monster actually doing what it does, actually dissolving weapons and armor. What does that look like? So you can take a look
I do
at this
like
and
that.
can see
You do
the
like you do want to
adventure
see things
that you
in
can then have
motion. I
unfold
do
with your
understand.
Yeah, none of these
I just
monsters are
also
static
want the
effects. Like you
PNGs.
said, in every edition previous, the monsters were static. This was like, here's a picture, like almost like a wanted poster of the monster, and this is the monster in action, which is very helpful for new and old dungeon masters.
Slad?
We
Yeah,
wanted the
Slad.
art
Slad.
itself
Slad.
to inspire DMs
Demon
to get them
demon
thinking about
frogs.
how they could use these monsters in their stories.
Aberration frogs? I think they're
I
aberrations.
think the monsters themselves
Yo, Rainbow
are
Unicorn?
inspiring. I mean, I
We
know,
down?
going back to the first edition monster manual, those illustrations inspired my childhood imagination and continue to inspire me to this day. But we wanted to bring more so that, that rust monster, you actually see it rusting something. The beholder, you see it using its eye rays and seeing the dread consequences of those rays' use.
Oh no, our friend is dead.
Awesome scale of the ancient dragons. You see when it comes to some of the new titanic creatures, just how gigantic they are. I think the Tarrasque image that we have in this book,
The Tarrasque, there is good
better than
Tarrasque art
ever
already,
before,
but
shows just how gigantic and
the Tarrasque is
terrifying
really
that
as
monster
big as
is.
the artist wants it to
And then
be. How
on
big is the
top of
Tarrasque?
that,
Yes.
Every monster now, its description
Oh.
begins with the section that tells you the environment where you're most likely to meet the monster, to help DMs as they are sort of
Okay.
thinking about the map of their campaign and where they
hope
might
this
wanna
stuff is
place different
implemented better
monsters. They
into
can
D&D
see right
Beyond,
away, oh,
I will say.
I'm most likely to
Not that I
have a
really
creature
use it
like this
anymore,
appear
but
in a forest, for instance.
Mhm.
We also now have default treasure for all of the monsters.
Yo, what
in the
is
book, or we
that?
tell you this monster just doesn't have loot.
That is
and
cool.
That too is there.
Notice
to
Flores
help
watches Pony Hat. I
DMs
do watch Pony
not
Hat.
just
They're
run the monster in
a
battle or
fantastic
in a
creator.
diplomatic
I have nothing but good things to say about them. I do disagree with them on some points, but I very much enjoy their content. Yes, I absolutely do. Highly recommend them. They are one of the reasons that some of my videos are the way they are. I did take some points from them, and I'm definitely trying to do my own thing, but they make good content. Thumbs up.
encounter, but also really ground the monster even more in their adventures and in their worlds.
Was there a particular monster that stood out, or a couple of monsters that just can easily come to mind where you're like, yes, we have enhanced this. This is going to be a far more dramatic, combative experience running into this monster.
It's hard to pick any one or any group because there are improvements across the board. But I think a
But
great
tell me one that you
example of
like.
family of monsters are the
Mr.
ancient
Crawford.
dragons. I mentioned that we made sure in the art that the ancient dragons really show off how majestic and terrifying they can be, or protective in the case of the metallic dragons. But also in the stat blocks, people are going to find that not only are these dragons way more resilient than they ever were before with the number of hit points they have, but also these dragons are going to bring hurt more than they ever did before.
Every time they're like the dragon's hit points, and I'm like, yeah, let's. How much are those hit points? Hold up. How much are those hit points, Mr. Crawford? 402. How much is the green dragon's normal hit points? Mr. Crawford, you can't be like, oh yeah, we really adjusted and tried to make sure that their hit points make them more of a challenge. My brother in Christ, they are less than 20 more hit points at the ancient level. What do you mean?
Also have more tactical texture
Oh.
than they had before. We took a number of gameplay elements that used to exist outside the stat block in things like lair actions and move those into the stat block itself to not only make the DM's life easier by having everything they need to know on running the creature right in front of them. in the
Layer
stat
action
block,
should be part of a
but
stat block,
also,
yes.
This was a chance for us to bring in new abilities. So for example, we in the past have said ancient dragons typically are spellcasters, but that existed as an option off in the sidebar in
Okay.
the
I feel
2014
like
Monster
we
Manual.
are
This time you're going to
retreading old
that
ground
with
here.
the exception of, I think, the ancient white dragon, who's like just maybe starting to learn what a spell is.
Yeah.
Maybe another
Yeah.
2 years.
I want to point out, everyone's like, oh no, dragon, they're with the white dragon. And I'm like, look at that stat block.
Physical menace, with
And Jeremy
their
Crawford has my
claws
back.
And their tail and
Oh.
their great maws and their breath weapons. They also now have spells they're casting. And that change.
I
is
wonder if they did
going to
anything special for the White
transform
Dragon, though.
how those creatures
I'm
feel
really
in
curious
battle.
about that.
There's also
If they
an
don't get
under the
any
hood
spell
thing
casting, I'm
that we
wondering
did,
what
not
if they get
only with
anything to
the
make
Ancient
up for that.
Dragons, but with
If
all
not,
of our
that's
legendary
gonna feel
creatures.
so
And
bad.
that is, as we retuned all of our legendary creatures,
Oh.
we ensured that no matter what pathway the DM takes through that monster using the legendary actions, the monster is going to stay on CR. And this is significant because
Uh-huh.
a decade
Hold
through
up,
that monster
hold up, hold
using-
up.
as we retune all of our legendary creatures,
Okay.
we ensured that no matter what pathway the DM takes through that monster using the legendary actions, the monster is going to stay on CR. And I
Very
believe this is
curious what he
significant
means by
because
that, because CR
decade
is
ago,
bullshit.
the way we calculated CR
Mm-hmm.
was
I'd love to know
focused
this.
on if the DM chooses the most powerful option every round, here is the monster's CR. Well, many of us as DMs found that sometimes we don't want to choose the most deadly option every round. And
What?
that also often led to a monster feeling weaker than it should.
What are you
We have now
talking
changed
about?
our entire methodology so that when the monster, it says it's CR, like for instance,
Brother,
for a
what?
legendary creature, no matter which sequence of legendary actions you pick, that monster is still going to be on CR, which is going to actually have
Sure.
a cumulative effect of
I
making the monster
guess.
seem more terrifying, because there will not be those.
The
drop
problem
offs that
is,
people have.
the problem with CR is not what he's talking about. The problem with CR is that it has no real balance. It's not accurate. It's not. It's such a mess of like what CR is. Like, there was like an official monster that I like 2 months ago. I was playing a D&D game, and my DM is a very busy person. He doesn't have time to like to really dive into session prep every week, so he does what he can. And I want to be very clear, this is not a dig at him in any way. This is totally fine for all DMs to do. This is 100% okay, but it's so like he started running the stat block, and it was like half a turn in, and he was like, oh no. And he had us originally fighting 3 things, and he boiled it down to 1. And if we hadn't gotten like very lucky, it would have been a very much more difficult fight. But it was just like, CR isn't balanced just innately, and that's just a problem. And so I'm hoping that CR comes in clutch better this way, but I'm not sure that it will. Also, no, I did not see a link. Let me. Okay. I do not see a link in chat. No, it's probably set up so that you can't send links. What is the link to?
Had before of, well, I chose this option and wow, that monster felt way weaker, whereas the other DM never chose that option. They chose the other one and the monster felt much stronger. We've made it so that it is
legendary actions should be more balanced of how powerful they are. I guess that's what he's saying. That doesn't feel like a groundbreaking solution, though. It's like, yes, all of the actions should be about the same amount of strength.
This also isn't just under the hood. Like, this is something that we discuss with the new introduction to the book. We lay this out and we present to DMs, hey, if you see these abilities, prioritize them. These are things you should be focused on. This is things you can do at your table to make sure that these monsters are living up to the incredible threats they can present.
Yeah,
okay.
The introduction has a section that the 2014 Monster Manual didn't have, which is advice on running a monster.
Yes.
And it walks you through those pieces of, like, if you're as a DM, you're stumped on what the monster should do. We put in, always look for the following abilities and prioritize using them if your goal is bringing the hurt. Now, of course, in some scenarios, the monsters are maybe a potential friend, and so DMs still have the freedom to have a monster be far less threatening, but we also wanted to make it far easier for a DM to bring the thrills and the terror when that's appropriate for their campaign.
It's hard to choose from this much art because it's all new art. It's weird the monsters I probably didn't gravitate towards before, but now I do. Like, Romero is terrifying. That art is just horrific. That is
that art is fantastic. I love it.
I know it's not merman.
Yes.
But no, there's just a lot of examples of monsters maybe I wasn't inspired to use, where the art is now inspiring me.
I would love to hear.
It's very fair, honestly. I will say art does have a very good point about that.
Of the movie scene of what happened.
And that's
as much as I still do want the PNGs, I do appreciate the very good art and the action poses of art.
Make sure that you were getting experiences that you can only get from Dungeons and Dragons. So many of the monsters that are in the Monster Manual come from mythology. You've seen them at this point.
Oh, those eyes!
So pervasive.
Those eyes will haunt me.
Before. We're not surprising you with, oh, and this monster's called an ogre.
Yeah.
Like, you've got ogres. But let's see something now with, like, what does the monster actually do? And what does it do that's exciting in a D&D context? So, for example, I'm thinking of a piece
they're
like
bringing up the
Spectre.
Baylor with this art.
You've got ogres, but let's see something now with, like, what does the monster actually?
So this is the Baylor art. I want to say Baylor art, very cool. Baylor concept, very cool. Baylor stat block, absolute dog crap. It is a garbage. I pulled it out a long time ago. You can really run that stat block a lot lower than you would think. It's not that strong. Let's pull it up and let's just break down why the Baylor's not good. Yeah. Boop. All right. So, so this is another stat block that I would be interested in, like, revamping myself, and I plan on kind of going through a lot of them, if depending on what is and isn't touched up in the new Monster Manual. But let's just kind of go down the Baylor. It is a challenge rating 19. 19 is very high. Let's break down why it doesn't deserve this. It's a huge fiend, which is fine. Whatever. Size doesn't really matter too much. Its armor class is 19. That is not that much, especially at level, like, you are dealing with probably plus 15s to hit. So they're going to hit every time, probably. 262 hit points is not that much, especially at that level, unless you're, like, throwing multiple of them at these people. It's 26 to strength, DC, or dexterity. Like, its stats aren't bad, but having a high strength is not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is with a Baylor is the death throws. When the Baylor dies, it explodes, and each creature within 30 feet of it must make a DC 20 dex save, taking 20d6 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one. The explosion ignites flammable objects in the area that aren't being worn or carried, and it destroys the Baylor's weapons. This is a lot. 70 damage after the fight is a lot. I don't want to, like, minimize that in any way. This is what makes the Baylor dangerous. It also has, like, a bunch of it has the demon resistances, the demon immunities. True sight 120 feet is also, like, strong. But let's go. What's next? Fire Aura. At the start of the Baylor's turn, each creature within 5 feet of the 5 feet of not the dragon of it takes 10 or 3d6 fire damage. This is anywhere from 3 to 18 damage if you're rolling. And flammable objects in the area that aren't being worn or carried ignites. A creature that touches the Baylor or hits it with a melee attack while within 5 feet of it takes 10 3d6 damage. This is fire damage. It is fairly easy to get a resistance to it. If players know ahead of time that they're going to have that, it is understandable that they would be able to like, hey, let's stock up on fire resistance. Even if they aren't, 10 damage isn't that much consistently. It can be like if you're a fighter, like it can theoretically hurt you like 50 damage just when you hurt it, but it's fine. This is kind of a sneaky one where when it hits, but at the start of the turn, if you get rid of this and just have it at the start of the turn, that's not going to be that much. Magic resistance, this is another thing, has advantage on all saving throws against spells and other magical effects. This sucks. I hate it. Magic weapons, it's considered magical. And then it makes 2 attacks each turn. That's it. It makes a longsword attack, which is 3d8 plus 8 plus 13. It does do a decent amount of damage, but if it rolls damage 3 times instead of twice, this is a cool effect. Highly dependent on how good your dice rolls are. This has a 30 feet reach. Cool. It's fine. It can be pulled towards the Balor. Realistically, it has a lot of damage. There's nothing special about it. And then it can teleport, which is cool. But like if you, there's not much to it. It does a lot of damage, but you can throw this against a much lower level party and they'll be fine. Like I would say pushing level 10, you can probably take a Balor. As long as you have like a balanced team. And like the biggest issues is fire aura and death throws. But realistically, with death throws, this is a problem, but the fire aura is the biggest problem, meaning that you want to burst through this as quickly as possible. And once you burst through it, then you have to deal with death throws. And yeah, but a CR 19, way too high. So I'm really curious on what they'll do for the next one.
And what does it do that's exciting in a D&D context? So for example, I'm thinking of a piece like The Spectre, where the Spectre is this pretty basic spooky ghost monster.
There's scary skeletons.
Spooky ghost monsters, but the Spectre has a specific vulnerability where it's repelled by sunlight. And in that piece of art, you can see that the cleric in the image is surrounded by the sun, like a sun-like spell. That
is daylight in the new monster in the new PHB. Hold up, I do have the PHB right here. We're gonna pull it out. Is daylight in the new PHB? Or yeah, GF. This is like always the biggest thing, and it's like well, daylight isn't actually daylight. So I'm like, and the Spectre is low. It's not that strong. So where's daylight? 3rd level. Sunlight. It is sunlight now. That's good. It should be. You cast a spell on an object that isn't being worn carry, causing sunlight. Cool. That is quite honestly a necessary change, in my opinion.
The Spectre isn't able to encroach on them.
Daylight is daylight, yes.
There's dozens of instances like this, even with something like the Mimic, where
daylight in original 5e was not daylight, which was hilarious. And everyone would like always jump down on it, which also makes the spell worthless.
We've seen the Mimic be
not worthless, but not great.
Treasure chest.
Way too high level.
Dozens of times, even outside of D&D and in other media. We wanted to present
Mimics being everything is a great meme.
All the things that mimics could be, and show a room that an adventurer is.
Oh no!
Into, where
everything,
everything,
everything is a
mimic. You can see like the little faces on it. And
you're gonna have such a bad time.
We wanted to have these be examples of not just
back to the full screen
experiences that you can only get with D&D, but to inspire you to, as the DM, to be like, oh, I never thought of a mimic maybe being a throne. Or
mimics are such a scary
treasure,
item that you should be worried to use as a DM.
Especially
Like it's.
One of the things
It's
I
just a whole
love
thing of like,
on
do you want
Mimic
your players to be
Edition and
worried
so
about
many of the
everything all
other
the time
parts of the
forever? And
book
it's like,
is
no.
where you added those tables that are there to inspire the DM to think of, like for the Mimic, it's a list of tables or lists. It's a list of here are things the Mimic could be, or so many other monsters where it's like here are things that might motivate this monster, or the different forms another monster could take.
They've been doing that for a while. It's not bad things. It's good things.
What I think of as
I do
DM
like the
friends
tables, but I don't
throughout
like
the book.
using them
It's
as
something
rolling
that we
tables. I like
talked
just
about
scrolling
as
through them and
early
going, that's a good
as the
idea.
Introduction that every D&D monster is an adventure, or is really a springboard to hundreds of adventure. Just the concept of a room with a beholder in it. That is a very different adventure from.
That's a nightmare.
A goblin.
We don't go there.
And
That
as
the
soon
beholder
as
is like,
these
no,
monsters
sir, we go
start
the other way,
imagining,
because that's not just a
right, what sort
room.
of environment is a beholder in? What is it's doing? What's its philosophies?
Yo, that Roper art is terrifying, and I can dig it.
And that's so different from these other critters. We wanted to really express that not just in the stat blocks, not just in the art, but in the narrative text with here's an exploration of what it could do, but you'll see throughout the book that it's filled with, like Jeremy mentioned, lists of here's things that Mimic could turn into, or for like a group of monsters like the Performers, where you get several performer stat blocks, here's the different types of performers that you might encounter.
Okay,
Just
I
things to show some of
do
that
really
versatility
like
and
that.
to
They're
express to DMs, this monster isn't one monster, this monster isn't one adventure, this monster is a whole spectrum of adventures, and really anything that you can imagine. So they're all springboards to encourage that sort of.
Okay. So with the performer stat blocks, I think that's really cool. I really like the idea. I really hope they nail it as a stat block, because that's such a great idea. It's a fun idea. But the problem is that if it's another generic stat block that is multi-attack or this attack and nothing else, that's not good. That's not great. That's just another stat block that I don't need. I want each stat block to be its own thing. That's the problem. I don't need 15 white dragon stat blocks. Okay. Oh, we got ads. We got ads over on Twitch, so we're going to just take a little bit of a break. We got 1 minute and 40 seconds. I will be right back, and we'll keep watching through this. Okay, and we should be back. Alrighty. Cool. Let's hit play again.
Imagination, that sort of world building, and doing anything that you can imagine. So they're all springboards to encourage that sort of imagination, that sort of world building, and doing the things with the monsters that a DM wants to do at their table, not just locking it into one thing that's our version.
And that speaks so much to how people actually use the monster manual. Is you flip through it and you think of an adventure. You start to daydream. It's a lot of
I do that. Yes, that is very much.
Book, and so you're just giving more tools for that.
And in many cases, we wanted to back off on some of the like deep lore elements.
Right.
We don't want DMs to feel like they need to have taken another class or that they've missed.
This is a very good point. This is a very good thing.
Learning about this monsters, we wanted to express, here's the basic overview, and in many cases, here's something that they focus on, here's how to use them tactically, here's something
that
interesting
helmet,
they can
though.
do in battle, but then these are also interesting
Yeah,
elements
'cause
that are
Githzerai
unique to
gray,
them
yeah.
that you might be able to express in a spectrum of different ways. I'm thinking of the animated objects, for example.
Yeah.
Also includes a table of just, why is this object animated?
Yeah.
And then it's like, maybe it's
Why is the
Trickery that did it.
table
Maybe
moving?
a wizard created it. Maybe the things are possessed or something. Every one of those
That's a fun idea.
possibilities, that's a completely
Instead of
different story.
it being an
The
enchanted
story
object,
that
it's just a
is, the
possessed
sword
by a
is
ghost.
possessed, and the sword is being manipulated by a mischievous sprite, completely different adventures.
And you mentioned
That is true.
before, we've got a series of humanoids. We've always, wanted to be able to well, what are the stats of a bandit? What are the stats of a standard druid? And now we have that in this.
And we had the NPC appendix in the 2014 Player's Handbook, and so those NPCs
That's fun
are
art.
returning.
That's fun
Yeah,
art.
We wanted to
I like
have
that
them
art.
return with many companions, and so we added performers, we've added pirates, we've added more. In even the existing groups, we've added more options. So, now there are more cultist variants, there are more priest variants, there are
We
more
need more
mage
of those.
variants, and so on and so forth, because we know how much DMs use that NPC section. I mean,
Yes.
heck, I, as a DM, use the NPC section.
That is one of the things I will
2014
go
Monster
through
Manual more than
a
any other
lot.
part of that book.
Human
So
NPCs are
even
very
we just,
interesting
as dungeon
and
masters,
very
wanted
diverse.
even more NPC options in the book. And so that means people are going to get to see a whole bunch of new NPC stat blocks. They're going to get to see the old ones enhanced in a variety of ways. And all of these will just give the DM even more pre-built material to incorporate into adventures and campaigns of their own creation.
So you talked about mechanics for high level. Were there some instances at lower level monsters and mid level monsters that really stuck out to you?
One of our goals throughout has been, let's make everything run smoother as much as we can, make sure the numbers are the best they can be to deliver the play experience people expect for each particular monster.
I like those.
And also see where we can incorporate some new surprises.
You're having a very
So
bad
you're gonna
time.
see,
Oh, that's
particularly at
news.
very
Yeah,
low
no, that's a
CR,
bad time. That's
often
yeah.
The main change will be
I'll see you in the afterlife, buddy.
a number got adjusted slightly, or there's a new ability that replaces an old ability. But it's as you go up in CR, because it tends to be that as you go up in CR, the monsters end up having more moving parts. That's where you will see more and more new things. Here's one example. When we get to the vampire section.
Okay,
and
you have
Wes
my
and I are
attention.
both vampire fans, and so
We all are.
Yes, I think it's a D&D thing. Given
I
that
don't.
we're
I'm not
so
working on
obviously-
vampire stuff right
everyone
now. What are you guys talking about?
We're all wearing black.
Vampires are.
So not only are there more
Tell me more.
vampires, than before.
Good.
Because
Because there's
many of our monster
almost
families have expanded.
far too small.
And so we not only have a new lower CR option in the vampire section, but then we also have a new higher CR option and another new
Good.
option in between. So we have, I think, 3.
How does that man's arm? How does that is he a Rakshasa? That's not a vampire. That's a Rakshasa because that arm does not work that way. I can't. No. Okay. Not real. Am I watching Critical Role Campaign 3? I am not. I started watching a fair amount of the beginning. But I had some attention span issues. I wasn't able to I also was like still behind on campaign 2. I have watched a few clips. The clip where Marisha actually Matt was fantastic. Because I do the same thing on both sides of like, actually that doesn't work that way. I'm a bad player. I'm not the best player. But I do always, but she did do the correct thing of technically this doesn't work, but because it's what's his face, you know, who knows how it works. And I very much like to see how they all work together on a DM. They're great friends, and it shows, and they're having fun, and I love that. I do know some of Lewdness, that was who they were fighting. I do know some of the things that are going on, but no, I'm not. I'm so far behind. I am very, very excited about Daggerheart though. And I started watching their holiday special for that, and I'm very interested to try that out. I really want to see how that plays myself.
So we have, I think 3 brand new vampires, but then the 2 we had before, the vampire spawn and the vampire itself, have also been enhanced. And people will probably first experience this facing the vampire spawn. Because vampire spawn in our adventures is typically the type of vampire people experience.
I'm curious by what he means when he says enhanced.
And usually experience them in larger numbers than, say, a full-fledged vampire.
Because in like enhanced flavor, I'm totally down for. But if it's enhanced abilities, that's not necessarily great. Sorry, I'm talking over him when he's probably explaining.
Is some familiar things and how a vampire spawn works. And I loved having this experience recently at 2 different conventions where I ran the new vampire spawn, and the vampire spawn, as the characters were fighting, suddenly just slipped away out of melee without provoking opportunity attacks, and while still having the whole rest of their turn. And the players at my table who fought vampire spawn over the last 10 years in 5th edition were like, wait, what did it just do? And that is one of the new abilities that the vampire spawn has
the mobile feet.
Of it in most of the vampires.
How dare you give things the mobile feet?
Really wanting to enhance the fact that
how dare you make Polar Sentinel more
they
viable?
You know, they have this deathless agility. Part of their whole shtick of what makes them terrifying is they're very difficult to defeat. And so we wanted to take this element and add it into the vampires. They don't all do it the same way. You know, the vampire spawn might just like be able to disengage easily. But one of the other newer vampires is able to actually fly around in the middle of battle without turning into a bat to do so. And so if people thought vampires were tricksy before, well, now they're even more tricksy. And another example of a family of monsters that we not only expanded, but that now has some new things to experience in it, is goblins. Goblins, one of the most used monster families. We have
my favorite monster.
A new spellcasting option. It's
a
actually
Booyog Mage
from 4th edition. In 4th edition, we had it was one of my favorite monsters in 4th edition, oddly, which was the Goblin Hexer. And so we brought the Goblin
You have my
Hexer
attention,
in,
sir.
Because we wanted in this collection of goblin stat blocks to have one focused on using tricksy magic. But then we also added a lower CR goblin. Because we realized sometimes DMs just want goblins in really high volume. And the
I don't know what you mean, Mr. Crawford.
Can often serve that role, but we wanted one
Me liking hordes and kaijus? Couldn't be me.
Where just truckloads loads of them. Can
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Crawford. Please give me
and
more.
Then we looked at that whole family where we had the Goblin Warrior from before. We also had the sort of boss Goblin. And we made sure that all of those stat blocks, the ones that we had before as well as the new ones, fit together to actually feel like a group.
Okay.
You're going to see that
I
in
see
the Gnolls.
the idea.
And group after group, they just they work more cohesively as a group. And Gnolls are more terrifying than they've ever been before, particularly because we've just embraced now. Gnolls are fiends.
Oh, that's a huge change. Just want to kind of like break down and like talk a little bit. I think that what he's saying is a fantastic idea. One of the things that I love the most is groups and like teams of bad guys, like the mirror to your party of like, oh yeah, they're just like, they're all very strong and you have to take them down one by one. Bad guy teams are great. I didn't play 4E either, but I just more goblins and Hexer sounds cool. It gives me a vibe of a debuff, a support mage, which I am totally here for. So yeah, you can sell me on any goblin. They are my favorite monster. I will run them in every game that I run, in every campaign that I run. I just love them. They're the best. Actually, we have time. 4E D&D Goblin Hexer stat block. I don't know how 4E works at all, but let's see what comes up. Initiative +3. Okay. Hexer Broad. Oh gosh, this is blinded, stinging hex. Okay, yeah. It's very much exactly what I think it is. It's a lot of debuffs, which yes, that's very much something that I want. It's fun. It gives having debuffs in anyone on like either your player or your monsters is very interesting because it makes players need to adapt in a different way. Debuffs are just fantastic because they change the game fundamentally of like, yes, I know that you normally do this, but let's talk about what if you can't do things as good. Now you need to adapt, and it throws a wrench in a lot of plans that players may normally rely on.
These are not just bloodthirsty humanoids. No, they are hopped up on
demon juice, yeah,
and are actually fiends. Similarly, the goblins.
I like that idea.
Rather than being humanoid, are fey.
Right.
And this is something
I have feelings about this.
In a number of our books in recent years.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how I have feelings about this.
Roots in the Feywild, and now we have fully embraced that. Which
it's
really
fine. I don't really like have too much of an issue with it. I'm just kind of weird about it.
Shifts throughout the book, and we've done that in some cases for mechanical reasons, other cases for narrative reasons, and sometimes for both.
Oh gosh, kobolds are dragons. Hold up, kobolds are dragons. Goblinoids are Goblinoids are now fey. Yo, the humanoid spells got nerfed hard. Oh boy, it's like, oh yes, let me hold person. Nah, fam. This is not gonna work out well for you anymore. Oh, spell was already so risky.
I mentioned gnolls are now fiends, goblins are now fey. Some creatures that before might have been monstrosities or humanoids that are now elementals. And that we did sort of early on in the project a vetting of all the creatures' types and made adjustments to make sure that they were really.
It's been 2 hours. Have water.
Correct part.
I've been drinking water.
Apologies of the multiverse.
And my gamer juice.
For what we want to do with them mechanically.
Also, hey Purple, how you doing?
Stories.
Good to see you.
I'm also really thrilled with how many instances you have of different types of monsters. Like, there's the Revenant, but there's
Drown.
an addition to the Revenant, which is terrifying. The Death Knight. There's the Death Knight, but also there's an even more scary element to the Death
Do you
Knight.
need stronger death? Look at Goblin Fae this way, your patron. Potentially be an arch goblin or whatever that is. I was lurking for when you got the message. I thought you might be. I thought you might be. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for hopping in. I hope you're enjoying the stream. My patron is unfortunately my patron is not a goblin. However, we did have a few goblins around, and when I was still in the Feywild. But goblins are just the best. I love goblins as like just little gremlins that just like, yes, I have no notes for goblins. Goblin, yes, give more. Oh, that's what I was gonna look up, because if I remember correctly, the Death Knight is like pretty high up there on CR. And I know CR doesn't really mean that much, and I kind of went over that earlier, but that's pretty strong. 17. I mean, I guess if it's not like full Lich level, so maybe.
I love that expansion. Also,
patron.
The art feels very stylized specifically to that monster in a way that I haven't seen before. Like everything undead feels very Ravenloft. You know, it has that gothic horror feel. Like all the undead have a very signature style now, it feels like.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for each monster, we wanted to make sure that the whole package was providing the experience that we wanted. We didn't want it to be just, all right, and then look, here's the skeleton wearing armor, but we describe it as something that's completely terrifying, and then the rules like really present it as this devastating force. We wanted to make sure that
they're saying things and I'm not sure how well they're going to follow up on it, which is kind of like a whole thing that I have an issue with. Flavor text is great. I love flavor text. I love me some lore. It's fun to write. I have it. I enjoy it. It's great. No notes on flavor text. You can have the most flavorful text in the world, and that's fantastic. If you're writing a book that is meant to be read, if you're writing a game, it really needs, if you really want that flavor to come across, it needs to come across in the stat block. They should have abilities that supports their lore. I'm nervous about how much they actually will support that. They're saying a lot of things, but their track history doesn't really back it up that well. So I don't know.
Everything was really working in.
We'll have to see.
Unison. So the art, the narrative, the game design.
Draco Lich though looks cool.
All very much considered one package, reinforcing the stories that we wanted to share with the readers and making sure that DMs.
If the mechanics aren't good, but the flavor text is, it still won't get used. Yeah. If the mechanics aren't good, but the flavor text is, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to come along and I'm going to make a better stat block. And I will probably use what you gave me as a base, but then that's like, don't get me wrong, that's giving me content, so I'm fine with that. But also, like, I'm paying you for these in the books. Please give me my money's worth.
What the best parts of these monsters are. So you mentioned the Death Knight, for example. So yeah, the Death Knight is described
Good.
as,
I'm glad we're looping back around to this.
Overwhelming undead commander, and then you see that in the art with the Death Knight actually leading. But in this case, he's not just leading a group of rank and file skeletons. We didn't want to show this high-level undead warlord with some of the lowest CR threats in the game.
You mean like you have with the Orca stat block? Yeah, I've run the actual Orca stat block, and it's just like, oh yeah, summon this many hit points worth of skeletons, and I was like, okay, let's do that. That's a good idea. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. You adjusting stuff as a DM and having to do work? Nah. Yeah, I adjust things a little too much. Purple knows.
presented an entirely
Purple,
new stat
purple
block called the Death
remembers
Knight
some of the things
Aspirant,
I've
where
adjusted.
These are like heralds of the Death Knight. These are champions undeads that are like lieutenants to a Death Knight. Doing a few different things, it creates the potential for a more unified encounter experience where now you've got a Death Knight with other higher level minions that it can be presented with, but then it also allows you to have your Death Knight experience
the beloved
at
trauma.
lower
Yeah.
levels with the Aspirant.
What? It's only a little
There's
trauma.
so many monsters where it's like, I'd love to include a Lich in this adventure. We are level 1.
Yeah.
Yes.
So having some of these additional options, in some cases higher
Yeah,
levels, in some cases
having
lower
lieutenants
levels,
is very
allows
good.
you
Yes.
to get more of these iconic D&D monsters more in your game, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, but increasing the utility overall.
I think I completely missed his point,
you
but
want to feel like it'd be great to feel like you're thwarting the plans of a Death Knight earlier on.
Yes.
and
no,
not
I appreciate you
focus, but then you're
engaging on
also
both.
making
You're
Death
fine.
Knight way more
I noticed.
scary by having an entourage.
Exactly.
And this has just been part about Death Knight culture in D&D anyways, like all the way down to Lord Soth, he has his 13 knights, things like that. That's just, you don't often imagine Death Knights by themselves now.
Exactly. There's even an example of one called a Gas Gravecaller, which is presented as just a new spellcasting gas.
I should get an actual background for
but
this chat.
We even presented in the art with like the Lich, just to suggest like, if you want to have either a monster that is appropriate to be used with a Lich to like be its apprentices, or if you want to have that Lich-like experience earlier on, here you've got this lower level undead spellcaster that you can explore that with.
Makes
How does
sense.
it
Makes
feel
sense.
to
But
have
which Lich are you
completed the
talking
new
about?
core rule books, all three?
Hey.
I'm still internalizing that because we've been working
I
on
missed
these books
the-
for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the new core rule books, all three.
I'm still
Here you've got this lower level undead spellcaster that you can explore that with.
What does it feel to have completed the new core rule books, all three?
I'm still
gosh. That's gotta be a whole
internalizing
thing.
that because
Yeah.
we've been working on these books for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally
makes sense, yeah.
multiple years, and to have it done, it's still sinking in. But it's a great.
I do want to say this. I will give Wizards of the Coast a lot of crap. I will give the writers a lot of crap. Even though I really don't mean to like actually call out the writers, they put work into something and that they put effort into this, and they deserve respect just like anyone else does with their creations. I have my issues, but I will say writing a book is not easy. Writing a full monster manual is not easy. Writing an entire system where they have changed a lot of things is not easy. And while I have a lot of issues with how they're advertising the system, I have a lot of issues with how they're releasing the system, and I have plenty of complaints. I do want to say to each one of the people who worked on this, congratulations, you guys made a full system. That is something to be proud of. And I, under no circumstances, ever mean to take that away from anyone. That they have not done, that they have done something very impressive. That they put a lot of work into, and I know they did. Do I wish things were better? Absolutely, I 100% do. But as much as I do try to be as positive as possible, and I never actually want to try to talk down to or piss on any other creator. That is not what I'm here for, and I don't think, and I don't want to do that. I do want to support the people that are making things and making cool things.
Great feeling. It was wonderful to get to end with the monster manual because, again, for me, a monster book is like dessert.
Yeah.
I am still annoyed. I will point out things that I will be critical of certain things, like why are you ending? Why didn't they all release? I'm still frustrated about this, about like their entire release schedule, but I do always want to come back and like, hey, respect people, love people. They made things. That's great.
Monster Manual also in many ways is a culmination of things that people saw in the new Player's Handbook and the new.
And
Dungeon
also,
Master's
like,
Guide,
I do
because
know that
the
there's
Monster Manual
you cannot blame the
relies
creatives on a
many
lot of the
of
problems for
rules
Wizards of the
enhancements
Coast.
in the Player's Handbook. It relies on the thinking we had in the Dungeon Master's Guide about making DMs' lives easier.
Yeah.
And so you get to the Monster Manual, and this is all about taking rules elements from the Player's Handbook, mixing it with our, make DM's life easier philosophy from the DMG to make this host of monsters that are there to inspire, to be fun at the table, to surprise players, to feature elements of the rules that are new in the new versions of the core books. Like there are more monsters now that make use of the fact that the game has the term bloodied back.
Yep.
So you're going to find monsters that have things triggering within their stat blocks when they're bloodied. You're going to, see
We appreciate
exhaustion
that.
used in ways that it hasn't been used before because the condition was redesigned, and now we can use it in certain ways that we were
Yes,
hesitant,
exhaustion
to
has
use in the
been
past.
altered.
And,
I don't.
just on and on.
It's-
You'll see monsters.
I have mixed feelings about that.
Even now, some of our spellcasting monsters able to cast some of the new spells in the 2024 Player's Handbook.
I would expect
because
this. Yes.
When we designed those new spells in the Player's Handbook, they weren't just for our player characters. We also had one of our eyes on the monster manual, knowing some of our monsters are going to want to be able to cast these spells.
Right.
And so all of it, you're going to see that the monster
Oh,
manual
what the
truly
fuck is
is
that?
the culmination
Sir,
of
what are
core
you?
book revision that we've done
The
in
fuck?
part to simply celebrate.
If I walk into a room and I see that, I'm
So you have
leaving.
all three
I'm not dealing
of
with that
broken
at
units
all.
now.
Yes.
Oh.
You're also going to see many of the innovations that were originally presented in the Player's Handbook really take form here, fulfilling one of the promise of things like some of the new stat block formats that we presented at the end of the Player's Handbook, with like those usable creatures, like just
The people actually working at the companies to make the items and products have so much stuff that happens over their heads. Can't blame them, Wizards of the Coast, for Wizards of the Coast companies' choices. Yeah, absolutely not. 100%. Like I say a lot of things here, but it's one of those things of like I want to make sure that I'm being very clear of like I don't hate people. I support people and people that are creating stuff. I support. I love that people are creating stuff. People should be creating stuff, and I can be a little bit of a shit sometimes. So I just want to make sure that I present myself in a way that I'm like I don't hate people.
the imps and a lot of the animal companions back there. Well, now you're going to see a whole book where the stat handbook with like those usable creatures, like just the imps and a lot of the animal companions back there. Well, now you're going to see a whole book where the stat blocks are so much more inviting, so much more usable. The organization is so much crisper. We've spent a lot of times really making sure that wordings are tight and concise,
Oh.
that the game.
We got an ad break. Just realized. Apologies. Let's take a minute 30. We'll be right back. Alrighty, and we're back.
Like, you know, just the imps and a lot of the animal companions.
Ad
back
should be
there.
over now.
Well, now you're going to see a whole book where the stat blocks are so much more inviting, so much more usable. The organization is so much crisper.
You good?
We've spent a lot of times really making sure that wordings are tight and concise, that the gameplay experience is really at the forefront
I cannot
of
wait to
so
rip
much of
apart
our
every
design
bit of
to
wording that I
make
can
sure that
find. I
the
will
DM
do it
can
in
look at these
every
stat
game
blocks,
forever.
Make a choice or two and run an interesting encounter. It's all been designed with playability being front of mind, and we want to make sure that like the experience of using the monsters of this book is easy, inviting, and exciting.
And because in some ways our
That's
team
good.
has the philosophy of anything worth doing is worth overdoing, we didn't just bring all of that to what was already there, but we added over 80 more monsters.
Is that all?
Right. And it was funny toward the end.
80.
I was
Okay,
even
so they're
joking
530-ish.
because it's not nothing adding over 80 monsters
Yeah.
to the monster manual.
No,
I kept
it
joking,
is
like,
not.
Who decided to do this?
Yeah.
It's my fault.
It was me.
Because we not only
I
wanted
get
to
that.
expand the various monster families, but also bring people more high CR
I'm curious to
threats.
know how many are
also
like
flesh out
actual
some of the
updates and
creature
how
types like
many
you
are going to
mentioned,
be
Todd.
ports
So I think
from
one of the reasons
the
that
other
and it's
books,
gratifying
like
to hear you say
Ravenloft
that
and
earlier,
the
that you're like, it
Draconomicon.
feels like all the types are fleshed out more. That was a very conscious effort on our part. That
I'm
we
not saying that's a
wanted to
bad thing,
feel
but
like,
it is. I'm
each
curious.
creature type really sort of earns its place in the book. Now, there's still some creature types that have way more monsters than others.
Right.
That's just
It's gonna
how it-
happen. Yeah.
There will always be more fiends than plants.
Yeah,
At least in the monster manual.
Fair.
But we wanted to make sure
Yo!
that in each of these types, a DM felt like there were more toys
Yeah.
to play with.
No, we.
And
Mhm.
more toys to play with at a variety of levels of play. And we've talked before in some videos about the number of new high CR threats in this book.
Yeah, that's
And
the thing
how
I'm
good are
very
those
much in
high
love with,
CRs
because
gonna be?
Now I also feel, as a dungeon master, you've given me the stat blocks for my big bad, like
Yes.
my end of campaign villain,
Mhm.
whether it's an archhag or the blob of annihilation, this doomsday level threat. I feel like I have the stat
Yo,
blocks
I
for
am
that now.
digging the
And
the
that was
hag
our
design
goal.
on
We-
that.
you
That
know,
is
we wanted a DM to be able to
very
read the
much
book
more than just
and essentially have
old
a menu
human
of
lady.
options for what is the big bad at the end of this campaign. Before you had some great options
Cracklelich.
in, like,
I mean
the
what?
dragon
I mean
category,
Cracklelich. I
Yeah.
mean what?
the undead category, and the fiend category. That was kind of it. And so now we made sure that you have an option in, heck, even the construct category.
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
celestial category,
Give
in
me the
druid
kaiju
category,
fights.
in the Fey category, and so on and so forth. And part of it also, just from a world building standpoint, we wanted the Tarrasque to have some.
How big
fight
is the
buttons.
Tarrasque?
Because
Yes.
we like imagine these like monster mashups, and and we just thought there can't just be one kaiju. There's
Yeah.
got to be more. And so definitely more
Yeah.
now.
Don't
And the
come to my
Tarrasque is still
world. There's
absolutely the
kaiju
king
on
of the ring,
every
like,
block.
The highest CR critter in there, but like setting up an
So there are definitely more now.
and the Tarrasque is still absolutely the king of the ring. Like it's
Yeah.
the highest CR critter in there.
I will say, if I wasn't trying to get out the red and blue variants by the time that the new monster manual comes out, the Tarrasque would absolutely be on that list and probably will be something that I tackle in the future. I don't know when, because the Tarrasque is such a monolith creature that you never actually run. It's like such a meme, but I kind of
But,
do want to
like,
run it.
Setting up an entire campaign
Like a
where the
lore
DM
accurate
has in the back of their
Tarrasque.
head is like, but the last adventure is the cultists are going to unleash this ancient colossus, and it's going to go stamping around with like the.
This
power
doesn't
of,
work
like,
though. You have to do it
God
off screen,
destroying
which isn't as
things.
cool.
That's
If
a
you let
very
the
different
players
story,
have the
and
option to stop the
you can
Tarrasque,
really
they
set
will
up
find a
beautifully
way
with
to
some of
mess
the
up your
older
plans
monster
and stop the
manuals.
Tarrasque.
So it's exciting that
Oh.
these endgame gaming ventures, the possibilities have really expanded.
And we did make sure that, the Tarrasque up there at the top, even the Tarrasque has new surprises.
Yes.
Good.
Anyone
Good.
who-
It needs it.
Whether they played their way to 20th level and faced the Tarrasque, or as many of us have done, just have a 20th level one shot just to fight a Tarrasque.
I had the
People
Tarrasque
who
fight
fought it
alongside
before
the
are going to be
players.
surprised. So some of the
Uh,
old tactics of we just stay here at far range and pink at it, and it can't do anything back at us.
yeah, but a lore accurate
try
Tarrasque
it.
is French. You're not wrong.
Try it and find out.
A Tarrasque.
No, that works great. You should do it.
Yeah. It can't do anything back at us.
Try it.
Yeah, try it. Yeah.
Yes.
Try it and find out.
No, that works
Fuck
great.
around and find out.
The
Oh,
Tarrasque has a whole new kit of abilities that it did
Good.
not have before.
good. I'm very curious to see what it has.
Partly
I
not
may
only
have to touch it, may not.
keep long-
I probably
long-time
will.
players
Even
on
if they
their
do, I'll
toes, which
probably
was something that was
still
on
touch
our
it.
minds throughout this book. We wanted people who've even been playing, since the 2014 books came out till now. We want them to face surprises in this
Yeah.
book. And
Good.
also just to keep things fresh, so that even
I
if you fought, 20
hate
times in
that
the last 10
so
years,
much.
in many cases, you're going to find something
No.
new that's going to require some new tactical thinking to get around what the monster is doing. And the Tarrasque is just one great banner example of that, because, again, the people who thought they could just hang at far range and take it out, again, try it and find out.
I actually really appreciate small little things like you mentioned the environments right off the
Yep.
top with these monsters, but you also kind of give descriptive language, almost in like a hashtag way
Yeah.
for me.
There, at the
Okay.
right after the names of each one of the monsters, we now have a little tagline, just a little bit that's like the subtitle, just like
Yeah.
what's the shtick with this monster? Like
No, those
yeah,
poor little
a
guys.
Nikolov.
Sorry, I was taking that in for a little too
Just a
long.
little
The
bit that's
poor
like the
guys.
subtitle, just like
Yeah.
what's the shtick with
That's
this
true
monster?
fear.
Like okay, a Nikolov.
Oh gosh, that is
What?
that's demon. That's good
So,
demon
like,
energy.
yes, you can go down and you can read about it, and it's going to tell you, but at a glance, you can see just a little flavorful 2 or 3 words that's just like
Hear
you said,
me
like a
out.
little
You can level up as fast as you want. Hear me out. You can level up as fast as you want. You could level up 10 times in one session. You could do a 1 to 20 campaign in 5 sessions. You could just saying, you could do that. The problem with that is you have to have players that are like have pre-planned their levels, but you could
hashtag or a
absolutely do
little
that.
Quick summary. I'm thinking of the skeletons, for
And
example.
we don't mean literally there's hashtag.
Exactly.
No, I think of it as the TLDR on
Exactly.
Yeah,
every
yeah.
monster.
This is the vibe.
Here's the
Yes.
gist, exactly. I mean, I think for skeletons, it's like ossified evil. I mean, just it's
What
just this
the
little,
those are
like,
words, sir.
something that is both like, oh, okay, it's like this like evil skeleton monster. I mean, if you don't know what a skeleton is, you can also check the dictionary. But there's
Yeah.
other monsters that are definitely require a little bit extra. And in many cases, the intent is to summarize, but also to give you a narrative.
Oh,
just to put you in
no.
the right headspace.
I was like, oh, look at the boy. And then I realized, oh, he's
It's
chucking a
just
boulder
a
at
little in
me.
a subtitle. So if
Oh.
you're going through, you can just run through real quick. And many of these monsters, their names are just made up words. But then you get that little bit right afterwards where if you've never encountered it before, oh, it's that. Oh, this is a monster about puzzles. Oh, this is an Underdark ambusher. Oh, this is a giant of the skies. Things
Hello,
like that.
ma'am?
And then you can read on if you want.
Oh,
or if
this is a
that's not
problem.
what's capturing your imagination.
Oh, gosh.
Turn the page.
And this is a wonderful example of some of the fruits that ripened because of us working on all 3 books as essentially one giant book. Because this tagline
Okay, the alternate Dungeon
also
Master's Guide,
intended
though,
to
is
3 books as essentially
that art is beautiful. I will say that is gorgeous. Oh, I really like it. Like the player's handbook, really cool. Monster manual, it's alright. I enjoy the art. It's got a whimsy to it. Very Baldur's Gate. That just gorgeous. And I hate spiders, but that is gorgeous.
One giant book. Because this tagline approach is also in the player's handbook.
Yep.
The classes have it, every subclass has it, and
What did you say?
one giant book. Because this tagline approach is also in the player's handbook.
Yep.
The classes have it,
Oh, that's what
every
he's talking
subclass
about.
has it,
Okay.
and just as there, it's so that we can draw people in quickly to give you a taste so that
I see
if
what-
you're
okay.
especially a time-strapped dungeon master, you can quickly orient yourself as you're
Mm-hmm.
going through the monster manual and figure out, is this a monster maybe I'm going to add to tonight's game, or in the adventure I'm dreaming about that they might
That I'm
get
never
to
gonna
6 months
actually
from
run.
now. So much of this is about getting people to the information in a variety of
Elemental?
ways. The book also has at the start an alphabetical list of every single stat block in the book, so that you can find the stat blocks quickly. But then it also has at the back of the book multiple monster lists that give the DM multiple ways to essentially sort. You can look for monsters by CR. You can look for monsters by creature
okay,
type.
so-
You can look for monsters by environment.
Guys,
You can
guys,
look for
we have
monsters by
multiple
site.
table of
So let's
contents.
say, oh, I know fiends, but I just want to know what all the demons are. We've got you covered. We have a demon list.
Demon
You
list is
wanna
good.
know what
Demon
all the
and
devils are.
devil
There's the
list
go to the
is
devil
a
list.
very good one.
And so there's also a lot more infrastructure in this monster.
I will say it's a
manual
good
than
touch, but it
in
is a
the
funny thing to
2014
kind of
one that
advertise. Like,
helps
guys,
DMs prepare
you won't
and
believe the
design.
amount of table of contents we
Something I
have.
haven't mentioned is the
Ah, the
organization of
Rakshasa.
This book is significantly different than the 2014 Monster Manual. If you look up
Mhm.
Pit Fiend, you will not find it under D. You will find it under P for Pit Fiend.
Yeah.
So all of these
I have the 2014 Monster Manual right here. Give me 1 second. Pit Fiend is a devil. Bearded, barbed, boned, chain, Araignée, horned, ice. Hey guys. If you look up Pit Fiend in the 2014 Monster Manual, it's also under D. That might not have been the right one.
choices were really meant to aid folks who maybe don't have.
It was kind of already organized like that in 2014, but okay, bro.
I should go to the D's and look for that.
Yeah.
Rather, this is meant to really make sure.
I will
that
say there are some that
whether
aren't
they're a
organized
first-time
like
player
this. There
or
are
have
some
been
weird
playing
things
for
of like,
years,
why
they
are
can
you
scroll
not
the
with the
book,
group?
They can look things
But-
up alphabetically. They can find it in a very intuitive way. They can find it in that initial
Oh,
alphabetical listing.
yeah.
They've got multiple options that they
Oh.
can track down this information. And if they still want to do things like, hey, I want my listing of all of the devils, it's important for me to know what those are. Well, they
It is
might
very
not all
important.
be under D's anymore.
It is
but we
useful to
still
be able to
have that
find those
information
things.
in the book. You can still
It's
find
also
that
useful to find them in
organization.
D&D
None
Beyond
of
that way,
has
but
been
you know,
lost.
whatever.
We've just presented more options, and hopefully in a way that is prioritizing being as accessible as possible to the widest number.
Excuse you, sir? Is that a
Early on in the
Balgura?
process, we joked that we
There's a demon
no
orangutan.
longer
No,
want
thank you.
someone to have to know so much
Oh.
about D&D that to find the gelatinous cube,
Right.
Mhm.
they
You
have
have
to
to look
go
up-
to O.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you have to already know a lot about D&D to even think to look under ooze to find the gelatinous cube. And now
True.
you can just go to G.
Were there any monsters for the art? It's like, well, this is such an iconic monster.
Wait, so are they saying
do
it's
we
not
handle
organized
this?
like that anymore?
Oh, I mean, I think, at least for me, one that probably required the most conversation was the Displacer Beast, where it's just, this is a D&D poster child, like, that, like, it has to hit,
Mhm.
it's got such an iconic look to it, it's so D&D, but then it's also a piece of art depicting a monster that has an illusion that that is misleading an adventurer, but then also has to be clear to the viewer that this is an illusion. The piece that we've got for it is absolutely incredible.
Are they
It
changing
ended
it? Because
up
it's
we,
blur.
really wanted to show off, like, this is the Displacer Beast, and it is tricking an adventurer in, but then also that has got such Displacer Beast, where it's just, this is a D&D poster child, like, that, like, it has to hit. It's got such an iconic look to it. It's so D&D, but then it's also a piece of art depicting a monster that has no.
Also seems like they completely changed the
off,
Displacer
like,
Beast, which is
Displacer
fine,
Beast,
but
and it is tricking an adventurer into focusing on its illusory copy.
right.
So even when you look at the piece,
So that's not
it takes a
okay.
second glance.
I'm
to
down.
really
Like, I want to be very clear.
figure out
Totally
which
fine that they're
one of
changing
the
it.
two Displacer
yeah.
Beasts that you're seeing in the piece is actually.
I thought there were
is
two of them in
actually
that
the
piece.
fake. And you can see that the archer in that piece is focusing on a Displacer Beast that
Yeah,
looks very convincing.
you can
but
tell
if you
because of this
really
stuff.
Look at it, you can see these like wispy magical effects
Yeah.
that are a telltale sign that it's actually the double. And then behind the adventurer, you can see that the real Displacer Beast is ready to pounce. That was a tricky one.
And we talked about this before, but like every piece of art feels like a story hook, or like we showed up in the middle of a story, and that gives it kind of storybook flavor.
Every bit of art
weird
that they've
way.
shown
Like, every
does feel
page,
that
like,
way.
oh, that's something that happened.
You know, every dragon got a glow up in terms of its design, which
and now there's wormlings.
Yes,
art.
All of the wormlings, the young dragons.
Oh,
the
I
adults, the
want
ancients.
one.
You can see the dragons sort of over their lifespan.
That one's reading a book. We're making them more dangerous. Give it a book.
You can see some monsters. Their appearance is very similar to what you saw in 2014, and then in others, it's been reimagined in a variety of ways. Like I think of the Horned Devil. I like the 2014 version. I love the 2024 version.
That looks very devil.
In many cases, we really wanted to, when we redesigned a monster,
That looks like Devil.
bring out the monster's story and personality better. Also, people are going to see in the art sometimes male or female versions of a creature that they've never seen before. So, for instance, in the Dryad painting, you now see both a male Dryad and a female Dryad.
I like that.
Same for the hag.
I think that's actually
hags.
What?
They can be
Hags can be guys now. Guys, it's 2025. Hags can be men. Men can be hags. I'm gonna start hag maxing now. I can hag max.
You know, aunties or uncles. Grannies or grandpies. Depending on your storytelling taste. Satyrs, you can see male and female versions. We've also reimagined.
Oh, yo, that
the
art was
succubus
very
and the
pretty, though.
incubus. On your storytelling taste. Satyrs, you can see male and female versions. We've also
we like that. That art's great.
The succubus and the incubus.
And we're gonna see that art, right?
Than having sort of succubus and incubus
we're gonna see that art.
The gender of one monster, we've instead
Mm-hmm.
turned them into two different monsters. Either of those monsters can appear as male or female. So you'll see on the succubus page, there's a male. One monster, we've instead turned them
Not what I expected.
into two different
Not what I expected at all.
Either of those
They look
monsters can
interesting.
appear as male or female. So you'll see on the succubus page, there's a male version and a female version. And on the incubus page, there's a male version and a female version. And what we decided to do is sort of delve into the folklore for this creature, where the succubus is the one you sort of meet in the material plane, and the incubus is the one who haunts your dreams.
Okay.
And the succubus can turn into an incubus, and the incubus can turn into a succubus. So there are all sorts of new, not only gameplay experiences for people.
This sounds very interesting. This sounds like a big shift from how they have been, though.
Story possibilities.
I'm not against changing that, really. I definitely want
and just the
to.
succubus and
I want to read
incubus
this lore.
is one of many examples.
And this is another good example. Just like all the undead art feels like it's coming pure, terrifying gothic horror. The devils and the demons are ultra metal this time.
Ultra
not that
metal.
They were metal before, but like
No, they are.
terrifying.
And that was
Oh,
intentional.
yo.
Yeah,
Cool.
that art style
Holy.
is just aggressive.
That. Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Yeah.
the right tone.
Okay. This brings up a very good point that Brennan Lee Mulligan. I can't say better. I can't say better than Brennan Lee Mulligan. Let's look it up. Brennan Lee Mulligan. Dimension 20. You sent Bigby to hell. Here it is. Okay, if it can load. Please load.
Was 2 days ago when you sent Digby, like, to hell? You
I didn't send him to hell. I didn't send him to, and I didn't send anyone to hell.
No, because that kid over there said that you sent Digby to hell. He said he saw it.
Who said it? Who said it?
I don't.
The kid over there?
No.
I didn't send anyone to hell.
No, that's what. That's what we heard.
Rumors are. It's just
That's what we heard, that
like,
you sent him to hell, and then you came back, and that's why he was all sunburned.
Yeah, that's what happens in hell. Is you get sunburned. You get sunburned in hell.
I don't want to hug you anymore. I'm gonna go.
Hell, where famously the sun is, deep underground.
It'll be like a burn.
Like a burn? Like he would get burned? That's not what happens in hell. Hell is a dark forest where your dad opens his rib cage and invites you to dance.
Evan. Now, I got no problem with you going off this kid.
I think that you would have a problem with it. That was very upsetting for me.
No.
2 days ago when
This honestly is such a good quote for me because yeah, like we there's like obviously the Christian Judeo-Christian version of hell that's like very popularized. This was a game changer when I heard it. I was like, oh no, hell is way worse than what like we imagine. Like, oh yes, fiery pitscape, that's great, that's bad. And I'm like, no, that's good. That's like, especially because like when I'm playing D&D, I want to get away from the real world. So I don't really want to do a Judeo-Christian hell. I want this hell. And he looks like he comes from a place where your dad opens his ribcage and invites you to dance. That's what we want. That's a good, yes.
That's something, again, absolutely intentional.
We support
we did
this.
not want to come to this and be like, well, the expectations for D&D art are this.
Yeah.
Every one of these monsters is a different story. D&D can be so many different stories.
It
We
absolutely
wanted to
can,
Put that
yes.
front and center with the spectrum of
Also, welcome
monsters
back,
here
Burble.
Really reflect the spectrum of different stories that you can tell, and that's conveyed by all of
Okay,
the
Medusas
different
can, yeah,
styles. So
Medusas
you'll
can be
see
men and women.
some really menacing
Also,
stuff.
like, that
the
art?
spectrum of monsters here really reflect the spectrum of different stories that you can
Okay.
tell.
I love Medusas. Give me more Medusa art. Also, like, yes, sir and ma'am, yes. The snake hair works. Give it to me. I love Medusas. They're
And that's
great.
convincing.
I do have a racial stat block for them. I will release it at some point. They are a very weird thing, and the thing I put them very much comes from the original Gorgon or Greco-Gorgon version, and I love it. Okay, I think it's very good, but it does come with some topics that I'm like, it's not for everyone.
By all of the different styles. So you'll see some really menacing stuff in here, some like absolutely metal
Okay,
pieces like
alright.
you were expecting, but there's also some pieces
Calm
that
yourself,
are
Purple.
freaking adorable. So yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Oh, we're gonna make the dragon scary. We're gonna make the dragon wormling scarier, and then just put this art in there. All of them, they all look like little babies, and I want all of them. I want dragon pets.
There's something for everyone.
I don't have the bonk emote put into the Twitch yet. I need to do that.
I think Chris Perkins got his start by reading the Monster Manual. I got my start by reading the Monster Manual and just daydreaming.
My first D&D book was the first edition Monster Manual, Now, part of that is it was the first of the AD&D books.
Right.
And it's funny, years ago when we were first planning out the core book revision, because we were also going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary, we also considered having the first book of the three be the Monster Manual. Now, we decided to save it for last.
Because that feels like the wrong idea. That definitely feels like the wrong solution.
Manual. We also saved it for last because we knew that in the months of the core rulebook revision sort of rolling out, we knew it would be easiest for people to play with the old Monster Manual using the new Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah,
so
but should you though?
It's
a new system, even though everyone kind of says it's not.
As a nod to first edition to start with it.
Once this new Monster Manual comes out, I'm probably going to have to like run a actual 2025, 2024 5.5e game just to see how it plays.
Almost every session of D&D play. Because just as players are using character abilities and spells and equipment from the Player's Handbook every single session of play, the Dungeon Master is using creatures from the Monster Manual in almost every single session of play, except for cases where they're using monsters of their own creation or monsters from another book, like Monsters of the Multiverse. But the Monster Manual is sort of always there in the background, because even when a stat block from that book might not be in your current session, there is a good chance the Dungeon Master has been inspired by something they saw in the Monster Manual.
Fair.
And,
I do also like the new art.
Has always had this special place in the game, and you talked about it earlier, Todd.
Perhaps hammer used against horny
just a
fiends and
game
gremlins
book,
alike
it's an
does an additional
inspiration
1d6 of damage to horny
that
creatures.
sometimes one monster's entry in that book.
Yo, that art is cool.
An entire campaign. A DM will look at the description, perhaps of the new Empyrean, and decide they're going to create an entire culture in their world about these god children, and have a campaign that is all about allying with one of these divine children in a war against another. And that's just one monster out of over 500. And so you could almost
I don't know if 500 can do that, but
a book of over 500 campaigns.
No, I really like the art on that because it was like had the scar of a specter, like of a spectral form that was very interesting because it's like, oh yes, this thing died, and it's here's a great example of how it died. It's good storytelling in art.
Because you are so often defined by the enemies you fight in D&D in some way, and so you think about you daydream. You think about like if I'm going to fight an Archhag one day. And I don't think there's anything that's so
I will run an
informative about
Archhag
what D&D
immediately.
is than
Oh,
flipping through the book.
we got ads.
Also shows
We got a 2-minute break. We will be back in just a moment. Mas agua. All right, and we're back.
Shows you your character's potential friends.
Yeah.
Because they're
One day. And I don't think there's anything that's so informative about what D&D is than flipping through this book.
It also shows you your character's potential friends.
Yeah.
Because there are...
Not everything has to be a fight.
Yeah.
Fine, I will drink
But
more
also
water. I
because
just
there
did.
are so many benevolent creatures, and there are
That's
actually
fair.
even more of them in this monster manual than before. Because again, looking at how DMs have used the 2014 monster manual, we know how often DMs go to the monster manual for helpful NPCs, for the monster that maybe is meant to be that.
Was that a
kind of
weird?
fake out.
What
We
was
know
that? Was that a were-tiger? I don't think so. I think that's just a tiger person.
how often DMs go to the monster manual.
Yo, we got more
for
furries in
helpful
D&D.
NPCs, for the monster that maybe is meant to be that kind of fake out where, you know, the DM knows the players are going to think it's a threat, but then
Right.
discover this monster is actually working on their
Yes.
behalf. And so there, I think, are going to be even
I'm gonna get the
more
the squirt bottle
fun
out.
surprises also from a narrative standpoint because of people meeting creatures now where
Now let me have my half
I'm
dragons.
not sure
They did mention
what
that
this creature is
they're
up
gonna
to.
have half
You know,
dragons.
they meet one of the new
Also, like,
sphinxes at a
what?
point because of
That a
people
sphinx?
meeting creatures now
That's
where
really
it's like,
cool.
I'm not sure.
I love the
what this
colors and the
creature is up
hair
to.
on that.
You know, they meet one of the new sphinxes, and we'll have to figure out. Well, like,
Yeah, okay, that
what
was a
is this
sphinx.
sphinx even about? And
Huh.
you know, what is this?
Yeah, they
theme
mentioned that
about?
half
What is
dragons
this
were gonna be
kind
a
of
whole thing.
vampire about?
They're gonna have like a whole like
And,
actual stat block this
I look
time, which is
forward
good.
to now years of people telling whole new stories using the new monsters in this book, as well as the hundreds of returning monsters that have been enhanced for years more of play.
Thank you so much for watching this video. We will have a
Fuck, I might
ton
have to
more
look into
videos
5.5.
all about the different monsters
I mean-
in the new monster manual. You can purchase the brand new monster manual
Buy my
and
stuff.
all three of the
Um,
2020.
What? I have so many mixed feelings about 5.5. Particularly, I hate that it's not 5.5, which is why I kind of insist on calling it that. It's got good stuff. There is a talented community at Wizards of the Coast. There are talented writers. As much as I am kind of like playing up and giving a lot of crap, again, these people are talented. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. I have issues with how they do some stuff, but there's going to be good stuff in here. I hate how they're rolling it out. I hate that they're like, oh, it's backwards compatible. And I'm like, no, the fuck it is not. I've seen some of the stuff you've released. It doesn't work the same way going back. A whole list of reasons that, I have issues with specifically the company, not really the artists and creators. But I very much for a long time was very much like, oh, I'm just gonna do 5e, but this is more like me as a content creator. As a content creator, there is a lot of stuff that's going to be going into 5.5e. People are going to be playing it. People that are probably new coming into the hobby will probably pick up the most recent version, which will be the 2024 5.5e version. And it's good to not be so stuck in the past, for me at least, as someone who's going to be making stuff. It makes things a little bit more complicated of like, well, in this version, like there's a whole video about Acid Splash that I'm kind of working on right now, because it's very changes, but it's like, it's small changes. It's the same spell functionally, but it did get a little bit of a buff. It's weird how it works. And there's just like a lot of things like that are like weird. You got to cover it because for me, it's a lost opportunity 100% as a content creator. It's also like the most frustrating thing, I will say, is like over the past couple months of like, oh, let me release all of the homebrew I've made. And some of this is my fault, but it's also like, I have to plan for what homebrew I can release and is coming out. And also what homebrew or what they're releasing and coming out. And they're doing it over such a long period of time that I can't really like sit down and like collapse or like read through everything. It's like every couple months they've been releasing this and it's like 2024 version, but the last of it comes out in 2025. So it's something that once the new monster manual comes out, I'm probably going to sit down and start going through all of the changes on stream, because you will actually be able to play this at that point. Once the new monster manual releases, you will actually be able to play this new version of D&D that they have worked on and released. You gotta do what you gotta do and then update it later. Yeah, no, and that's 100% what I'm doing. It's also like why I've been having fun with the dragon variants. The Wither Dragon and Frostfear Dragon were a lot of fun to make. And even though I am trying to trying to hurry and work on and finish to the point where I'm going to be happy with the red and blue dragon variants before the monster manual comes out, I'm realistically not too worried. My approach to how I'm going to make these dragons, I feel very confident that's going to be different than how, especially with like what they've released and what I've seen. It's going to be different than what they released. It's going to be different than what they made. And that's good. I mean, we're different people. I'm not a team of writers at Wizards of the Coast, and I'm going to enjoy writing what I want to make. And it's also like one of the reasons where I'm happy to make variants, because a team of people are going to have a bunch of different ideas, and these dragons have lore that have accumulated over years, and I don't have that. I don't want to keep up with that. I want to do my own thing, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm, I probably am going to start doing like class breakdowns in a month or two, but I have for the next for this month and next month, I know what videos I want to make. I'm trying to get one out every other week, which means theoretically at the end of this week, one video should be coming out. It might be related to something that's coming out this week. Who knows? I don't know what animated shows are coming out this week. What? You also have cool ideas that they may or may not have that could apply for not only but older version or hell, even Pathfinder. Yeah, no, 100%. One of the things I do like about Pathfinder is they do have a lot of cool stuff. I hate running it. I hate playing it. It's not my thing. I fully endorse everyone who likes it. And if that's your thing, that's your thing. I just have issues. I didn't say anime. I said animated. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Also, totally not a poll I ran on my channel this week at all. Yeah, no, things are going to be coming out, and honestly, like the biggest thing is that I'm excited for the new changes. There's a lot of changes that have come out already, and I'm going to just have to like adapt to that and kind of see what they are. We're going to roll with it. And I also like have my own TTRPG stuff that I want to make. I've been designing a lot of homebrew that works for 5e. The Vanguard class got released months ago, and I'm probably going to have to like do another small touch up so that it makes sure that it fits for the new 5.5. But yeah, I mean, once I get done with all of that, I'll still probably write stuff for 5e. I still do have a lot of love for the system, but I have my own plans and my own things that I'd like to write. I have classes that I've been writing. The more I write, the more I kind of just want to make my own system and rules. And it doesn't have to be as big as D&D. It doesn't have to be that big at all, but I kind of want to do that. And eventually, hopefully, I'll be able to get through that and get to doing it. But yeah. But that's like, man, that was a weird tangent. I don't know how we got there. But yeah. I think that's where we're gonna call it for the day. Unless they have any other videos that they released. I saw those two, and that was kind of it. There's that. I don't really care too much about that. Videos. Oh, there's the Artificer. Yeah, that's a whole thing. I haven't looked into that. I'm not a fan of the Artificer at all. I kind of think it's a bad class. I am very much recognize I'm in the minority of that, and a lot of people love the Artificer. I do have like I have like morbid curiosity for the new artificer class, but maybe we'll watch that another day. I think that's where we'll call it for today, and we'll come back. I'm gonna try and stream once a week. Hopefully I can do that. Fingers crossed. I held my fingers crossed up to the camera like this tracks my fingers. But yeah, I do want to get back to streaming regularly. I want to get back to doing these things. I do enjoy it. It's just been a lot of finding the balance of doing that streaming and writing. Finding the balance of streaming and writing actual and producing actual content is difficult. It's been a lot to try and find that balance, and just trying to make good content consistently is still kind of hard, but we're gonna find that balance eventually. And yeah, but with that, thanks for everyone who hopped in. Thanks for everyone who watched, commented, said something in chat, or even just enjoyed, like lurked. We support lurkers here. With that, hopefully a video will be coming out this week, and hopefully we'll do another stream this next week. We might watch something, or more likely we'll start playing games again. But with that, thanks for everything. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves, and I will catch you next time. Where's the ending screen? Where's the ending screen? I found it.